So, this is our first impromptu and informal this time around. Uh, yeah, just podcast. Don't know what I'm gonna name it yet. Had ideas, but do talk about that another time. So,
The Squadcast.
yes,
I'll be in charge of the
podcast.
naming.
Absolutely not. They still hate you over at the other one. Yeah, they
I
changed
can't even.
they changed your
They
name.
did.
Yeah, they did. So,
I gotta message them.
Wait, for what?
because she had named the
For
clan
Destiny.
for
The
The Destiny clan, yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I saw
And
what
she
you
never
did.
enjoyed
Yeah.
it.
So,
It was the Destiny.
It was one of those cases we all voted.
yeah.
And it was
So,
just barely the winner.
Yeah, so here's the thing. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start off. I guess the question was it B7 and Demi you guys had. Where does everyone prefer? I guess their online handles opposed to their names, or like most of us already go by a handle. Liz is kind of the only one. If you're fine with Liz, I mean it's under your name, so I'm guessing you're fine with it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. V7 and Demi figure it out between you two. That's not my problem.
No last names.
It's also get very confusing because Daisy's name is hard Demicat. And
They'll figure it out.
You're not gonna look at it.
Yeah, that's on there though. Like
Yeah.
it's only if I scroll over it and yeah. Anyway, on my top left you have Demi Cat, and to her right you have Doozy Daisy, goes by Daisy. To her right you have B7 Knight, who typically we just do B7 because he's not that important. Bottom left we has how is it really said, Lizabeta or Lizabeta? Because I've always just said Liz. So
You had it right the first time.
okay, so we have Lizabeta, and then I am Mr. Black, and then two last but not least would be Raptor Zero, and most of the time just goes by Raptor. Don't call him Mike. Correct. So yeah, that's kind of it for introductions. So topics we're kind of gonna be going through today are Overwatch. We've all played Overwatch in the past or currently. Some of us no longer play, not our game anymore, but we're kind of going over the past and present changes, feelings about where the game started and then where it's at now. We're gonna get into a little bit about Avatar: The Last Airbender. That's the first one. We decided that Legend of Korra might be on the list later at some point. We'll see how much I want to torture myself. And then it's not going to be on this one, Demi. It'll be a different one because me and Raptor haven't finished it. Just
give me 1 week.
For that one, we're kind of going more into the overall story, how we enjoyed it or did not, the pace of the story, how we felt about the pacing in general, and then possible favorite and least favorite arcs and side stories. There's a couple other stuff. The stupid nerd question, would you consider it anime? Because I know a lot of people would put it under that category when it's animation, it's a cartoon, but people do call it anime, and then there's nerd fights that break out all over the internet over it. And then we're gonna go over what is the best actual element to be a bender of. And then if we have time, if we got enough people and interest, we will do a bit of the MCU. We'll see how long these other conversations go, because it is Sunday. People probably still want to get some shit done at some point today. So except for Raptor, as you see, and says, did you enjoy everything up until the end game portion of the MCU? And then then if you finished it all, and are you continuing the story past that? I know some people have different feelings about it. We had someone who was supposed to be a part but isn't here, Eslo. He has not finished the MCU yet, so that's kind of why we can throw that in there. I think he was I can't remember where Eslo was at when you guys were last watching with him, but I thought it was Endgame. So
I thought
not Endgame, Winter Soldier. What was it?
No, he's a little.
I know he's seen Infinity War, but I don't know what past that.
Oh, okay, so he's almost done.
He was Endgame.
Okay, so yeah, after that he's got the hell is it?
I think
Trillion more TV
it's
shows.
Ant-Man 2.
Ant-Man, yeah. I was gonna say Ant-Man, Captain Marvel. And...
I think we watched Ant-Man.
Oh, did you? Did you watch Captain Marvel too?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So he's almost done. That works. Let's see if I can get rid of this bar. Hide bar. Where's
before we branch into a topic here real quick.
Yeah.
Are the shows necessary to watch in order to enjoy it, or is it just extra?
Shows are
Yes.
The new ones, the shows are necessary. Like, you've seen the first 3 phases. Those, like, there was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Peggy Carter,
So
I
good.
think, was the other
Underrated.
one.
Those aren't necessary.
No, that's
Like
what
They're
I'm
not
saying.
necessary.
So those weren't necessary. The Netflix shows weren't necessary in the first 1 through 3 phases. Past that, they absolutely are, because the majority of it happens and then it kind of continues off of what you saw in the shows, unfortunately, and that's a large part of why some people kind of aren't as enthused about continuing it. Want that being
So
me.
much.
Like, they're. It's not that the shows are bad. It's just like required homework. You know, I want to go to a movie, be able to enjoy the movie. You know, as is. I liked. Okay, so we'll come back to that because the MCU is
Exactly.
the last
Right.
topic. But yeah. All right, so let's start with Overwatch. All right, so
Overwatch is the best game in the world.
So Demi has strong opinions
We'll
about
figure it out
Overwatch.
immediately.
Again, let's not get. We're all gonna have our opinions. The only opinion that is fact is that Pharah was a bad design of a character. Other than that, everyone is allowed to
No,
express their
Widow.
opinion differently. Yeah, Widow is just annoying as fuck.
And Ana is the best design of a character.
Yes, she is. She was their best ideal, and then they kind of went downhill after that opinion-wise. There we go. That's where we're starting. So,
But they haven't changed any part of her for Overwatch 2 because she's perfect.
right? She's the only one. Yeah.
I mean, it's just
let me take
passive
my-
heal, but that's for
Oh
all
yeah,
support.
that's good. Sorry. Okay, so good part. So I guess time played. Let's go with
You have
that.
the
We
most.
don't have to have an exact time, but around how much time? So I think all of us. No, Liz started a little bit after, correct? Like
Yeah.
of launch, and then Demi started later that year, or was it in the year after launch? Because it was 2006.
It was a year after.
Okay.
16.
6,
Two-
6,
yeah.
yeah. I guess
6, I
2000
was
2016.
a wee lad.
We lied, yeah. So it's 2016 the game came out. So I think it was at the beginning. So then B7, Daisy, Raptor, and then myself. And then the people who actually still play the most are the ones who started a year later, the diehards, who you have Liz and Demi. But I think it was, so the game's been out for 6 years now. And then aside from that, I think most of us have over 1,500 hours or something in that game. I don't know.
I
Probably.
think Liz just signed on, just trying to see the time.
I'm actively adding right now.
I know I'm over 1,000.
Oh, we're gonna do the
1,000.
math real quick.
I
feel-
just got silver border, so
Yeah. So
probably
yeah.
not.
So let's go with 1,000. I think everyone's here over 1,000. Starting from top left, Demi, do you want to talk a little bit about like what you like about Overwatch, and then like don't do a thesis, just kind of
A thesis.
what keeps you coming back to the game right now?
This is really bad having me start off because I could just talk forever. You might want to reverse order it. So, one thing that I like about Overwatch. Okay, I'm gonna first talk about like why I started getting into it, because Aaron like nagged me to first start, and I was like, that looks very chaotic and very confusing. And then I got into it, and then I liked the chaos and the confusion. And then like later on, when I first like started in this server and like I got to know you guys and everything, and it was just like we added to the chaos and the confusion and like all the inside jokes and Suki's funnies videos, and that it built like a foundation of this server and like getting to know you guys and to spend time with my brother. I have to put that in there. And then present day, it's still fun. It is stressful when we can't like win and you guys are clearly getting annoyed and I'm like just trying to have fun, and it gets a little messy, i.e. the other day with someone else who shall not be named. But it's still we still get those moments where like we'll laugh, or like I'm pocketing you, Mr. Black, and you're Anna, and I'm Mercy, and we're like trying to survive. And I
Don't
my
bring your
troubles
problems to me. Yeah, it's not cool. It's not
but
okay.
it's fun.
You.
It's like, oh, okay, I'm being attacked by everyone in the entire game. Let me bring it to Mr. Black. He'll deal with it. And it's just like that's fun.
Already
So it's
thinking
like-
about banning her.
It's just I see the game as like, because I don't do competitive. I just play with friends. I just see it as it's fucking just fuck shit up and have fun. Like, and that's why I still enjoy the game, because you can still just like play mindlessly and have fun. Or if you want to be a little bit more competitive, like Liz or Ray and and Hunter, and like do that.
Nobody's on
then-
Hunter's level. Don't put
yeah, that is true. He played like for 8 hours yesterday. So it's just like there's still a lot of aspects that I still think are wins in the game. Sure, there's a lot that's bad. Like we haven't had a good healer in like 10,000 years. But anyways, I'm gonna stop before I can go on.
Over 3 years, I know that's the last hero, and that was Echo or
Echo.
Doesn't matter. Okay, yeah. So we'll get into that a little bit later.
Sucks.
So let's go, Daisy. So I know you don't partake in the game anymore, really.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
yeah, a little bit of history, I guess.
no, I mean, like, I feel like I was definitely, when we were asking around who was going to be playing and who wasn't going to be playing, I said I was going to be. And it didn't come down to like a change of heart. Like I wasn't gonna trust it, and I didn't want to play anymore. I was just really busy, so I didn't want to like invite back possibly it being really great and me binging too much time into it that I didn't have to binge.
That's fair.
And also just in general, I was just like, I have so many other things going on right now. So it really came down to time for me not playing Overwatch 2. Also it was just at the time when everyone was starting and we were talking about, it was just like signing up for the beta. I was like, you know what, like I'll just let everyone else like experience it and get opinions from them, and maybe I'll start. And then like I just haven't pulled the trigger. I wouldn't mind trying it at some point. Is it still in beta only?
So it is still in
Yeah.
beta right
Yeah.
now. They have the second round going on, and then after that, what essentially is going to happen is they're going to close it, do their updates, and then I think they're going to do at least one more. Correct, Liz? I know you're kind of more into the second one.
One
right
more,
now.
and then the official release is in October.
Yeah. So
Excellent. See?
yeah,
So like my plan is still working out. Like I'm getting you guys' opinions. This is the perfect time to right now.
Yeah.
These are going to be very impressionable opinions for me, what you guys say right now.
Okay.
On if when it full launches, I'm going to like jump in or not.
It's free to play too.
So I guess what? So
It
was it
is
just
free
the
for us?
timing? It's gonna be free to play when it relaunches Demi. Yes. So I guess what took you out? Was it just the scheduling thing that took you out of the original game, or just kind of the lack of? Because I know a lot of the times what it devolved into was a lot of quick play, and you were more so on the competitive side or wanting to do the competitive portion of it. Was that
Mostly. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't opposed to quick play. Like, I would do it once in a while for the funnies and for, like, just experiencing games with Demi because it was, like, all she was playing and I missed her.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think it just came down to, like, there was a time where I was playing and playing and playing and playing and playing, but there was no one to play with at times because a lot of people were on a break at the time. And then I just took a break. And ended up playing other games and having other things going on in my life that were really busy. So I was just like, it was a trickle for me. It wasn't like a hard cutoff.
Yeah.
There was like a time, like there was almost never a time that it was uninstalled on my computer until more recently.
That's so sad.
I think it's installed right now, Demi.
Okay.
I'm just saying there was never a time, like even when I wasn't playing for months at a time, it was always installed in the hopes that like I'd play because like a random group would get together. It was just mostly scheduling conflicts and stuff, and I was playing less and less and less until I was starting to play other games more and more and more when I had free time, and it wasn't really like when I sat down on my computer and I was like, what am I gonna play? Like for how many years was it? I'm gonna sit down on my computer and I'm gonna play Overwatch. And then I sat down on my computer and that wasn't the thing that was popping into my head.
Yeah.
I was gonna play this or I was gonna play that. And like it just never was it slowly evolved into something that wasn't like the forefront of what I was gonna do. Because for the longest time it was like, yeah, like we'd all how many hours a day would we hang out, and we'd all just be playing Overwatch all day or all the whole time we were hanging out.
No,
which
yeah.
was great.
I think that's essentially where the void started, was Overwatch, from the time most people got home until like 10 o'clock at night or when everyone had to go to
Oh,
sleep. So,
Ted.
and then, I mean, yeah, it sucks that, it's not as much, but it is cool that even though Overwatch is not a thing everyone does anymore, it was able to evolve into something where, just a group of friends a lot of the times evolved into different games, evolved into talking about anime. I'm not going to go into it, but I shit on B7 regularly for years ago talking shit about anime. And then, a friend of his, started watching anime and now he's into it. And now, yeah, I'm not going to go into this. Is not what this. We're going to do that podcast when he's not here. Anyway.
Yeah.
So, no, I guess, yeah, so that's a good place to start. So then B7, of course, we're just going to go to you next. Yeah, your experience with Overwatch, why you more so play casually nowadays, and are you kind of excited or not for Overwatch 2?
Yeah, so I've played Overwatch like since the beta. Like I'm a tank main, so like Reinhardt's probably the one that I have the most hours with.
Probably.
Probably.
Probably
Maybe.
over like 700 hours, I think, when I checked. When I just checked my hours in game. I really love, like I said, like it was like at the time, like we said earlier, that it was the reason why the Void was created essentially. So that holds there in my heart. But the main thing, like with Overwatch 2, I think the biggest drawback to me is the one, like getting rid of the one tank, having the 5v5 instead of the 6v6. That's a huge like hurt, like a hit to me, because it's essentially you can just pick a DPS, like a single DPS that just completely negates anything the tank does. Now, granted, I haven't played the second round because I think the way they're doing it is stupid. So like I signed up for it like a month ago, still haven't gotten in. So that's just annoying on my part. But besides that, like I've seen like the gameplay of the new hero, Junker Queen, and like she just like I don't know. It feels like it's more, and we've talked about this, like it's more single person oriented versus than team play. Like you can have the two Genjis off doing their own thing, and you can have
Mini battle.
the two tanks just going at it, but it's just a bunch of separate battles happening at once. There's really no team play aspect about it anymore. There's no, and then like another thing too, without the tanks, like half of the tanks are practically useless. Like if you have a Winston jumping into the to dive either the supports or someone, there's no one to get him out. Hog is just an absolute battery for ultimates. I mean, yeah, he takes 30% less damage. You don't get as ult charge, but a soldier or an Ash can just sit in the back, constantly pumping into him, and that doesn't matter.
So
You're ult half a fight later.
yeah, so we're going a little bit more into that in a bit, but then I guess since you do play, because you were one that originally played, and I guess for you too, like not to date myself, but everyone here is kind of young, so you guys all started Overwatch when you were either unlike Demi, I don't think you're that old, Liz, but no, you all kind of started Overwatch either
Sorry,
teens.
Liz.
Demi's
wrinkle
still in her
showing.
teens. A lot of you were early 20s, and so right now we have all aged. Won't say anyone's ages here, but you are all still under 30 regardless, except for Raptor. I think he's up there. He's mature. Yeah.
What a wise man.
But yeah, he's just
Yeah,
wisdom
I think
comes with that. But no, so I know for you, like, so I guess that's the question. Was it just you were in school when Overwatch started playing, and then as it evolved, you went to college, then you were essentially started your career, and then now you've got you're in a house with people. So I guess is it just more so a time thing? You guys have kind of do more stuff outside of being online, because I know you weren't never online as much because of school, but you were online more at one point as far as Overwatch went. So I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what, like when it came out, like I was in my first semester of college. Like I was just at the dorm. I had nothing else to do besides smoke and play video games. So that was basically my freshman year. But I mean, yeah, it wasn't.
I'm not censoring that either, so they can
I
infer
don't
what
care.
you mean.
Whatchamacallit? I mean, for like even like the first year when like Diablo 3 came out, like I remember like that game launched and like we played like 36 hours straight of that game.
So was it just then? So like sticking to Overwatch, was it just the time
Yeah.
constraint, or just I guess the new responsibilities and just focuses of life
Yeah.
that got you out of
Yeah.
Overwatch, or was it the game itself not being you're not being as interested? Is more so what
I
I'm getting
would
at.
I would say it's like 60% life changing, me starting my career, be graduating, living in a house now. But then also like the 3-year deficit of any content from Blizzard's point of view really also hurt it. Like, yeah, they did the bug patches every 3 years or so, but when the game is when a game as popular as Overwatch was being, when they're just milking everything like out of their new events, like when they have this like the same holiday events that they've been doing, but there's just nothing. Like the new events, they never changed any of the events at all. I don't think they just pumped out new skins.
Which were all legendary, and then you had to
Exactly.
pay 3,000. Yeah,
But I mean, it's like we knew they weren't giving up on the game like they have other games. R.I.P. Tears of the Storm.
yeah.
But it just seemed that they just didn't care. Like we all knew they were putting their efforts into Overwatch 2, which again is why have an Overwatch 2. But it's just that, and like I can get into like how like the new Overwatch 2 system is different than Overwatch 1 with the battle pass and how
And we will in a
it's
bit, but
affected.
yes, yeah.
But,
So we'll come back to that. But then, so let's go to Liz, the still competitive player of Overwatch, and as you can see, Boston Uprising, she is a supporter of the Overwatch League. So now,
Most of the time.
I watch it all the time. What are you talking about?
yeah, but you didn't wear your shirt first, and if you put it on now, you're just a poser. So
Right? You're just jumping on the bandwagon.
yeah. So yeah, you can talk about just how you got into it, and then just kind of your experience with it.
Yeah. So pretty much like everyone else has iterated, it was definitely a sense of community for me, being able to play with everyone online. I started a little bit after everyone else did, like you mentioned. So I was a bit of a late comer, but it was definitely just as fun and exciting for me as it was for everyone else. And that was my first official introduction into first person shooters. I
Okay.
don't and
Oh,
haven't
really?
yeah, like up until that point, I hadn't played any other shooters. That was the only one. And since then, I have tried a couple of others, but it's still the only one that I still play. So I've played others, but they just don't stick. If I have to know anything about guns, I'm just like, nah.
Yeah, you tried Apex for like I think maybe an hour, and then you were just
Tried
like
Apex, Rainbow Six, and I'm just like, I'm just
Yeah.
riding these drones around for fun. Like, I don't know what I'm doing here.
Yeah. So
But yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
I like the abilities in the game too. I think that that's part of what makes it interesting.
point.
Like, aside from other games where characters have different abilities, sometimes you can interchange them and use one character's abilities on another character. But Overwatch is kind of unique in the sense that one character's abilities are unique to them, and that's kind of what it brings to the team aspect. As far as Overwatch 2 goes, I'm excited because it's definitely a much faster paced version compared to Overwatch 1. It's definitely more brawly, and for background info for anyone that's listening, I'm a support main, so pretty much through and through. Didn't actually start out that way though. I used to play a lot of DPS when I first started. I think
played a lot of Thera. Yeah.
yeah.
Go
Oh,
back.
We don't talk about that. It's okay.
Why?
But
Yeah,
I had
because
more
she
hours
knows
on
now.
soldiers.
She knows the pain of being stalked by one. Yeah.
I'm still okay. I can hang with the Pharahs,
Yeah.
but yeah. Then I started playing a lot of soldier to counter those Pharahs. So
Oh,
Yeah. So okay. So I guess you explained you like the abilities, and that's just being the first person shooter. Are you then? You said you're excited for Overwatch 2. Is it just the brawly nature of it, or
yeah, from what I've played so far, it's so much more fast paced. It's hard to get into a different mindset because you do really need to, I think, when you're playing Overwatch 2 versus Overwatch 1. It's less about where's our team placement going to be and where are we going to set up and what corners are we going to peek and things like that. It's more so about are we going to win those head-to-head brawls when they come to us, because they are going to come to you.
Okay.
So yeah, I definitely experience a lot more deaths in Overwatch 2
So far,
as a support main.
as you learn to play
Yeah,
it
I think they're
differently.
trying to even that out too. Like a lot of the DPS have a lot more damage, so you have to try and mitigate that. The support characters now have regenerative healing, which can help, but
Yeah.
yeah, it definitely is still about, is my team gonna, win those brawls and help keep me alive. Junker Queen is insane
Yeah.
as far as a tank goes, but I think that her and now Doomfist are like the new generation of tanks. It's definitely going to be more, like I said, brawly, mobile. It's going to be less about like the divas and the Reinhardts and the Winstons. It's going to be more, you know, Sigma, Junker Queen, Doomfist.
Yeah. So
So
okay. So Raptor, give me 1 second here. I'm gonna and just because Liz and B7, I forgot your question. Kind of pointed it out. We have a sort of a tank main, and then we have a now kind of support main. Going backwards a little bit, Daisy, would you classify yourself as just any specific character or any kind of role that you prefer, not necessarily the only role you play? And
Yeah, I mean, I started as a tank main. I always play supports in games, but I was like in love with Diva when I first started. So I was like, she's my girl. She, throughout all the time I played, stayed my number one most hours, even though I barely played her in the end.
Yeah.
Even when I was still playing heavily, because I played her that much in the beginning. And then, but I would say I transitioned over to like half tank, half support.
Okay.
But I always had that place where I tried to play anything. Like I played whatever people didn't want to play, or like I would always, you know, in the end with the you queue for a role, I was always like, I'll queue for anything unless like I was super pissed off with a certain role. Which at the end it kind of was tank, which is funny because that's where I started. I was like, I'm not tanking.
And then Demi, do you have a role that you think you more so play, or do you have like preference role wise?
So I think I started as DPS Farah when I first started, and then I actually went into tank. Like I played, surprisingly, like I have no memory of this, a lot of Orisa, and then they like did something to her, and I was like, gross. Oh, and I tried Diva as well, but it was I think mostly Orisa.
Yeah.
And then I think I went back to Farah. You guys yelled at me, so I learned Junkrat.
So
Which
different.
Junkrat?
So different.
It's amazing, okay? And I mean, I do play Farah on the ground, so it's like literally the same. Then then the new like system. Oh my god, Merlin! This new system came out where like you could only do a 2-2-2 thing, and I was like stressful because what if they have like a widow or whatever? Oh my god, he's winning. And then I like was like, okay, so I'm gonna go in just like doing a healer instead because like I don't want to like, you know, during that time everyone was getting kind of stressed about the game, and so I was like, okay, I'll learn a healer, and then I chose Mercy, and like I like Mercy how, but
Don't use your hand as a toy. He's just going to attack it. Like,
you're actively boxing your cat.
yeah.
I like Mercy. Like, there's a different aspect of the game while being like a healer, because
The model cat, guys.
Yeah.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I feel like I do a lot more healing now than DPS, but that's because like the queues are longer when DPSing and stuff. And I do want to like kind of jump like shifts into the beta for Overwatch 2. When I played Mercy in Overwatch 2, it was so much stressful. So like kind of like Liz said, it was like little battles and like the Mercies would literally come up to me and like start pistoling me, and I'm like screaming my freaking head off because like I don't pistol, like only when I'm annoyed, and I'm like, what do I do? And like I look for a tank, and then the tank is an Orisa who's in the middle of the map, like spearing everyone, and like I can't survive, and it's just like a bunch of deaths, and just like all that.
We'll come back into a little bit. We're gonna jump over here to the Raptor though. So Raptor, this time around, yeah, I kind of we know what your role is, but kind of just say your roles or just your favorite characters in general, and then just talk about a little bit, I guess, like everyone else, what got you into Overwatch and kind of what got you out of Overwatch.
Absolutely. As it was already been stated, I'm the old man in the group here. So I already was in my career when I started playing Overwatch. It was just within 2 years of me moving out of my house, being away from high school and college friends, and I went into online gaming, kind of like Demi said, that she saw footage that it was chaotic and confusing, colorful neon lights flashing everywhere, and people calling out abilities that I didn't know what the heck they were talking about. They always talked about the whole team dynamic, and Overwatch is this ability shooter where people can change the character they play based on what the enemy's using against you. And that was so cool and different from anything else I'd heard of.
Yeah.
And so I got into it to try to get together this group, to play with people who were passionate and interested about it, and to, you know, overcome these random people on the internet because of cooperation and teamwork.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys have failed me, but that's okay.
Actively still.
So anyway, yeah, that was great. I actually watched some YouTube videos as my first introduction to it, and kind of like Liz was saying, I was never really into FPS at the start. This was my first one. I didn't have a computer desk at the time. I was playing on the armrest of my chair. That was my mouse pad.
I remember.
And my
God.
keyboard was sitting on my lap. Like, yeah.
I remember.
So I was looking at these new characters and this whole different kind of gameplay, and I chose to go Zenyatta as a healer who can also do DPS. It made me learn positioning and, you know, team play and who to rely on, who's priority heal, who to focus. And that kind of led into shot calling, because you can't be a Zenyatta if you don't call your orbs.
Yeah.
Because back then, orbs traveled extremely slowly.
Oh yeah.
And then the orb got there. So, like, that kind of thing. And that was a really cool introduction. But I had a really hard time getting people together.
Yeah.
And that's where this group came in. You guys were awesome. Played nonstop, just like we talked about. It was hours a day. You didn't have to worry about people coming online. You had 20 people queued up and ready to go.
Yeah.
And we were splitting into multiple groups every night. It was fantastic. So that was the golden age. That was wonderful. And then when they started making changes, and we weren't all happy about that. Anna, a great addition. The World of Tanks phase and all that.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of went downhill after that, honestly. As I was already saying, I'm over 1,000 hours, mostly healer. I did do a little bit of Roadhog tanking. I did a little bit of DPSing, but not a whole lot. So just mostly Zenyatta and Ana. But that kind of got you a whole feel, as they're saying, like, Overwatch 2 is a lot of individual fight. Overwatch 1 is entirely about the team, whether that's Brawly or Dive or anything else. So learning the game from a healer perspective, where you're not only paying attention to yourself and the enemies, but also your teammate, I feel like it was a really great place to learn, because you had to know everybody's ability. You had to know how your Genji was going to react. Is he going to jump over the wall and ask for healing? That doesn't work. Or going to, like, go to a health pack. Like, so learning how every character works because you're paying attention to your own teammate. Great way to learn it. And then just because of differences in their view of the game, the developers, and the changes they were making, I didn't feel like they were going in a direction I preferred. And then just came scheduling issues with us that I stopped playing because we just couldn't get together as regularly. People had lives. I get that.
No, and that's fair.
I was really happy with the game.
Yeah.
Not as it. So.
No, in Overwatch, like, it can be very good. It's just, it does get frustrating when, you know, you only have that duo or playing by yourself. Liz is a champ because she still plays by herself. Daisy played by herself for a while. I know I did for a little bit, but it's just like when you're in competitive.
I don't play by myself.
No, you play with the right. Yeah. Well, you do by yourself sometimes, don't you? Like when you were first climbing, you were like when you were in lower ranks.
No, I was in duos.
Oh, okay. Well, I misspoke. So she's not
with Brian.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay. Well, so then there you go. Yeah. So.
But Raptor, does Zenyatta's ninja kick not make you want to come back to him?
No. Especially not where there's now a single tank who can just walk up to me and 2 DPS who are focusing me and no tank to protect me. No.
Yeah.
You don't want to This Is Sparta a Roadhog into the well of Helios?
No.
Oh,
I
yeah.
said get back.
Get back, demon.
Yeah. It's the kick is pretty cool. Like you do launch them back a little bit, but it's still like.
So we just played on well, and as Reinhardt went to point, immediately, like, they had a Hog, Orisa, Junkrat, and Pharah. I literally went to point once, immediately in the well, and I switched. I was like, oh, this is stupid. I hate that
The
map.
well. Yeah.
Still to this day, I hate that map.
So for Raptor, so I think for you it was always you'd rather play competitive too, right? Whenever we were in there, and like as it went on, people less and less played comp on a regular basis, and it was just like what you preference wise you didn't care for the time, quote unquote wasted in quick play when we could have been doing comp. I believe was your feelings on some of it?
But only if we were winning.
Yeah, only
The
if we
idea
were...
of forming the team that practiced was to win more than not,
Mhm.
and it didn't work out that way. So yes, I would rather if we were going to practice in quick play for competitive, so we didn't get frustrated losing. That makes complete sense. But if
I
we're
get
just
that.
going to screw around in quick play to never go to comp, then we're never going to be good in comp. So what am I playing? So,
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing. Everyone has a different philosophy, like what style they play. As you heard, Demi preferred the quick play aspect, chaotic, less stressful. Kind of everybody else, I think preferred comp if we could get the people and the kind of either cohesion or just temperament to not turn on each other after the first round even. And that happens sometimes. Like sometimes some of us are just having bad days. Sometimes just frustrated by the overall game. I will say for me a little bit, I got in, I think it was literally a coworker who told me like, hey, have you getting into this new game Overwatch? And I was like, what? And then he's like, yeah, they have a free beta, or I think it was like the last beta before launch. And so that was the first time I played it. And I was like, oh man, this game is actually fun. And just from a abilities aspect and everything. And so I played that. And then when the game launched, of course, I played. And I have played other FPSs before. The main one, like, because I suck at FPS when it comes to controller. So, like, everyone always asks me, did I play Call of Duty and all that? I'm like, no, because it was on controller. And I tried it. I sucked. I can acknowledge that and move on. Like, there's no reason to be like, oh, it's just a game. So, no, I played Counter-Strike 1.6 for years. That's how, again, old I am, dating myself. But played that
I don't even know what that is.
Exactly. It's still a game that's on Steam and played, just not regularly. But no, I met a lot of friends there, That was, for me, where everybody kind of got older, grew up, and then started doing their own things. So I was already used to that. Because I had played that when I was around, I think I started playing that game around 17 or whatever. I am in my 30s, so. But yeah, I played that game around 17, then everyone around the same age kind of started doing their own thing outside of the game. And so I had stuck to single player games on my PlayStation 2, PlayStation up to 4. And then, yeah, Overwatch for 6 years. I think I started off more of I floated around roles. I refused to be pigeonholed at the beginning. I have a clip of me saying that. And then Daisy proclaims that she's going to pigeonhole me from now on. After, I think it was Reaper play on, I think it was King's Row. But yeah. So,
Best map.
Yeah, one of the best maps, yes. But no, so I played mostly at the start. It was a lot of Mei. I think it was almost exclusively Mei for a while, and then of course I had to try other characters. Unfortunately, no. But after they kind of did some stuff to the game, like changes, I became more of a support player just because between Reaper and Mei, those were my favorite characters. Zarya for a bit, and when learning the support role, because as the game went on, it was like they said either we didn't have enough of one thing or I was playing by myself a bit. I think there was a year where people weren't really playing, where I just kept queuing in, and it was fun, but it was just where no one wanted to play support because this was before role queue. And so it was, hey, 6 random people in a game together. Everyone thinks they're the DPS main that the team needs, and so you are left either playing tank or healer. And those are the 2 roles that I kind of gravitate towards more these days and did at the beginning after, playing those 2 kind of Mei and Reaper for a while, just because it's like, okay, well, I want to play the characters I want, being Reaper and Mei, but I also don't want to sit here and just let another team fucking kill me for 6 minutes. Because it's, I mean, I get what people saying, like, oh, just having fun. It can be fun. How to put this? Not really, right? No one wants to lose. No one joins the game to lose, right? But you're fine with it sometimes, some aspects of it. But it's not fun to get, killed and sent back to spawn for 5 minutes straight once you get to a fight. And that's kind of how it was. So, again, started playing those 2 because it's like, well, no one else is going to do it. I think, yeah, for me, it was the Void, literally. It was just, this really awesome place because, like I said, I hadn't played games with people for years. It was mostly single-player games, and then with the Void, we literally used to have, we used to get together through Blizzard chat, or just be online, and that's how people met up. Mm-hmm. And it was fine for the most part, but it was just I was like, well, this thing is Discord. Like, I had started it, and so that was cool. And then kind of everyone just gravitated towards. So there was no like like it was easier to kind of form groups or whatever. And Discord has evolved too, so that's been good. Like I said, we all started Overwatch. We play different games now. We've watched different things. But yeah, that's mostly it. I think there's a couple people in the group who now have more hours, vastly more hours than me. For a while, I did have the most because like I just kept going in. But I think Ray and Hunter both have more hours now.
For sure.
Our friend Ray, he has a
Do you
multitude
count
of
all
accounts.
30 of his accounts?
Yeah, I was gonna say he has a multitude of accounts. I think he has at least 8, probably more by now. But that's I give him shit for it, but it's just it was kind of that fun of a game, and he liked playing either trying like and see if he can get higher with different accounts or play with friends with different accounts if his was too high. Because when we first met Ray, he was a Roadhog main, and he still bought that account, but it was Grandmaster. He held it there for a while. Then he devolved like the rest of us. But no, so Overwatch for me, like I said, I stopped playing more so when the changes kept coming. I mean, I know it's everyone always feels like they're the focus, but I feel as a healer or tank, it's just frustrating at times if you're not getting the kind of cooperation from your DPS that you think you should be. Because it really is perspective, but a lot of the times, like, hey, can you do this? And like, why didn't you do this? I was like, because there was a Reinhardt swinging at me, and if I drop my shield, the Anna's gonna sleep me, and even if she doesn't, she's gonna anti me. You know what I mean? Like, when Ana was such a like change to the game, and like just the fact that as a Reinhardt you can no longer just swing to your heart's content. If you had a good one, it was frustrating but great at the same time because you can be that impactful. Like all of us have noted, Overwatch is a game of abilities, and you have to kind of manage them well based on what's on the other team. So for me, that's kind of mine. I just start playing all together. No, not all together, but less and less. Like I said, just frustrations with the balance philosophies, the new hero philosophies. I am glad that they are. Well, I was kind of upset that they decided not to do updates for Overwatch 1 anymore. I'm paraphrasing, so I'm not going to say that this is exactly what they said, but I remember something along the lines of, "We'll not never, but." We won't do Overwatch 1 will always be updated, essentially. And I think for them, their way of keeping that promise is not charging you for Overwatch 2 because you don't have to buy another game, but you do have to buy a battle pass now. So it was just for me, it's like, didn't like the changes, didn't like some of the new heroes, didn't like the focus on making DPS feel more impactful. I mean,
You don't like Doomfist?
no, I don't. I don't like that a person can punch me into the wall and 1 KO me. And then it's like, unfortunately, because of the way Overwatch plays, it is essentially a free kill if he has a Zarya, because sure, the bubble can be destroyed, but most of the time, by the time you see him, he's punched your Zenyatta or Ana or any healer into the wall if they don't have a Zarya or something to stop him. And I know it happens, but it's just frustrating that, again, that was where assistance from your other teammates, when it wasn't happening, it was just like fuck, like just pissed off all the time. Like, somebody just switch, man, switch to Moira. I don't want to switch to Moira. He's going to kill me anyway. Like, it doesn't make a difference where my cooldown is 8 to 10 seconds. His is 4. But it does nothing. But that's for me. That's my experience. I think I have the only diamond border, but that's only because, again, I have multiple accounts as well. I just don't have 8 or 9. I think I have 3 now, 3.5, because one of them I had bought to play with a coworker, but he never played, so it just sits there. But yeah, so I have 3 diamond border, but borders are going away, so that doesn't matter.
Really?
Yeah, they'll show your playtime, I think, in your profile is what they were saying, but the actual border, which I worked 6 years for.
Right? What's the point of that?
Yeah. What's that after?
Are profiles still hidden?
I think it's still optional. Oh, you mean in Overwatch 2? I don't know. So
I don't think they've mentioned anything about that yet, actually.
okay, because they haven't shown it. It's mostly just the scoreboard and
It's
stuff.
optional for now, but I don't know if they're going to keep it that way or force everyone to keep it open. I don't know.
I do like the new scoreboard that they changed, because like the first one they had during the first beta was just a shit ton of content. Like
Okay.
that.
Yeah, so
but
let's
like information popped at you at once.
Yeah, so talking a little bit about Overwatch 2, and we'll circle back to Overwatch 1 for a little bit after. But Overwatch 2, like, I guess, what are the main changes? I know Lids initially mentioned the playstyle. B7's kind of alluding to the new scoreboard they have, where Overwatch 1, you only saw your stats essentially, and the only way to determine like how you were doing, so to speak, was the gold medals. Like you had gold for whoever had the most of something in particular. I think they said they used to have medals for deaths in the alpha or beta, but they took those away. Probably for the best. Like
That's my next try. I want gold deaths.
No one's gonna claim that gold medal. Yeah,
I would.
well, apparently Demi, and then so now Overwatch 2. I know it's changed since the first beta because I played the first beta for Overwatch 2, and they do show everyone's kind of breakdown now, and I think there are benefits and risks to that. Unfortunately, with gaming, you're never gonna get a completely non-toxic community, so showing them is beneficial in the sense you can see what you're doing comparatively, but it is I think it does hurt not the game itself, just kind of the atmosphere of the game when you're like, well, without context, you just see one, like maybe the Zen has the most deaths or something, or you do have a DPS who is doing, like, he might be fourth on the list. And so that means, well, I suppose there's only 5 people now, so that's even worse. But like maybe, the 2 healers are somehow beating him, or the tank is beating him, and then if if you have 4th most damage as a DPS, people are not going to like that, and people are just going to essentially kind of flame each other a bit more. But I don't think you can stop that regardless, because that happens in Overwatch now. Like all you'll hear is so it's just literally like, well, I have gold, what do you have? And I've been guilty of that, but that's more so most of the time messing with friends, like, or I talk a lot of shit. It's mostly like in between our friends. Like I try not to type in-game toxic shit, but I'll say toxic shit among our group.
Okay.
I said try. I didn't say always. There was a specification there, but sometimes people just piss me off, and so I'm just like, they brought this up. But no, it's just one of those things where, amongst friends we'll like, rip on the other people, or just be like they're not doing stuff, and it's not always true, but it's just fun. I feel as long as you're not injecting that directly into the actual community all the time, it's kind of just what you do, when you're playing with other people. But no, there is that, you'll have gold damage as a Zenyatta, and you have 2 DPS and like 2 friggin' tanks, and you're like, you want to be pissed off and say something about it. You're like, what the and they're like, why aren't you healing me? Or there was a time, I think it was yesterday or the day before, imagine, like, this guy just kept repeating, imagine not using your trance because I didn't save the Roadhog who got fluxed. And I didn't even type back just because he typed it multiple times, and I knew he wanted me specifically to respond to it, so sometimes you just essentially don't give them what they want. So I was like, just kept going. He got fluxed again later. I purposely did not trance just as soon as so
that's what you gotta do.
Yeah, it's just
that considered toxic behavior.
Yeah. Hey,
it happened to me yesterday. I was playing Diva actually in a comp game, and someone was like, "Your positioning's so bad. Everything you're doing is wrong." So I left the voice chat and went to a group chat instead. And then he went to type in the main chat. Just because you leave voice chat doesn't mean you're right.
Yeah.
And I was like, I give up.
Sometimes you just don't give them what they want. But I guess so for the Overwatch 2 people, I guess, and just commenting on general, I guess, how does everyone feel about those kind of changes where they add a actual scoreboard where you see everyone's I guess, quote unquote contributions to the match, or lack thereof sometimes, because there are the Lucios who will wall right all around the map, and I mean, Raptor hates Lucio. Just get that out the way.
Lucio.
But I guess, how do you guys all feel? I mean, I don't know who wants to start. We can do from
I'll
left
start.
to right. Oh, she wants to start now. Now she wants to start. All right, Demi, let's hear it.
So when it comes to video games, I don't really care about like the competitiveness or like the scoreboard. Like, I honestly don't even remember seeing the scoreboard in the new beta.
Oh, we know.
Like, I don't remember it at all.
Factual.
She doesn't push tab.
No, she doesn't.
She doesn't even look at the one.
Demi doesn't play with sound, in case you guys are wondering.
It's at like 1%.
That's
I
no
hear
sound.
it if everything is quiet.
Yeah, so
I don't know. I have like my like thing about video games is I'm literally just here for a good time. I have limited time because I am in school and I have horrible time management. So when I do want to play, I just want to play. Like
Yeah.
I don't care if I have gold. I don't give a shit. And so like how Anne was kind of complaining about like the scoreboard thing, I no memory of it. One thing I don't like about the beta, at least the first beta, because I didn't play the second one, is everything was like very bright. Like just like sound, I'm like sensitive to brightness. Like I was like, whoa, I am gonna be even more blind than I am now.
Demi, there are
And then
sliders. I'm sorry, but there's
what is that?
Settings.
there are settings,
Oh,
there are sliders in the
I
game
don't
to
like.
adjust your settings.
Oh, I
I
don't
think
like
that
touching
that
those
exists for
things.
gamma and contrast, all that too. Unless it's not in Overwatch 2 yet, but
I mean, it
We'll
should
figure it
be.
out later.
just a little bit of
Um,
information
and
for you.
then everything was like it's like squared. I don't know. It was weird. It was definitely harder to like look at. And then when I did play, I played Mercy majority of the time because I was kind of afraid of DPS with everyone. And it was fun, but it was very stressful. Like everyone wanted to be healed, but at the same time, I was constantly dying.
So Demi,
And
I'm gonna have you. Sorry, I'm gonna make a note on that just so
yeah,
you don't lose what you were saying. But I kind of want to stick so we can move on a little bit to the how you felt about just the changes of the general like scores. Like since you don't use the
mm,
scoreboard, I know you said that it didn't
yeah,
matter to you, which is fine. Like
score doesn't
it's
matter.
also the reason why you can understand why people got frustrated when you wanted to go into comp with us. Like, oh, I'll play comp just for the
Mhm.
heck of it. For you, I know it didn't matter because you're like, I'm just trying to have fun with all my friends. But for everybody else who is like either trying to climb or just have a more positive experience, it was frustrating. So that's why like the whole scoreboard thing was always the thing. But hold that thought. I don't know if you need to write it down, but just pertaining to Mercy. And then we're just going to go on to Daisy then and see how you feel about just the general change of a scoreboard or addition in this case of a global scoreboard.
Um, I I don't know. I don't think it's a great idea. You're saying it's tabbed into like
Yeah.
mid match. Yeah,
It's like League.
I think it's a bad idea.
Yeah.
It's like League where you
Um,
can see everyone's stats.
because yes, like it's just gonna frustrate people.
Mhm.
It's gonna frustrate the people who are doing really well because they're gonna think feel like they're carrying and like that other people aren't carrying their weight, and it's just gonna frustrate them that oh, I got queued up with people, of course, that can't carry their weight. It's gonna make the people who aren't doing well, that might actually be trying, that aren't doing well, frustrated because they're gonna feel a lot of pressure and like that, oh, this is embarrassing, like I'm not doing as well as I should be, and like people are going to get mad at me. I can just tell, like anyone who's anxious like me, like if I was doing well, I'd be like just waiting and waiting and waiting for the person that's doing well to yell at me for not doing well.
Yeah.
And then that's the best case scenario, because then the worst case scenario is that actually happens and people start getting toxic and people are going to want to leave voice chat and like you know screw up communications because they don't want to be yelled at.
Yeah.
So I think it's inviting too much conflict and it's inviting too much pressure.
Yeah.
Like, and I know it's competitive and that, and well, can you see the other teams as well? So everyone's is up. So I guess
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
so I guess the only good thing about it, like I don't think it's a good idea because I don't think people can be responsible enough to be responsible with the knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's a good idea, like in a perfect world, I guess I think it's good for 6Q because you can look and get statistics basically on sometimes when we would go with 6Q, we're like, what are we doing wrong? What is our problem? And we can have contesting ideas. Like, I think the Roadhog's the problem. He's the one who I keep dying to. And then you will for a 6Q with a group who can be cohesive and not be toxic with each other. It's a good idea because you can say statistically that Roadhog is doing all of the damage.
Yeah.
Let's focus him.
Yep.
So you can use it in a responsible manner. It's a good idea, but I think it's a terrible idea for rando queues if you don't have 5 friends or 4 now, right? Because it's 5.
Yep. Yeah, it's 5. So, yep, that's cool. I will just comment on that yeah, I do 100% agree that it is going to get a little bit murky, but it'd be cool if they had something where it was in comp. I mean, I know that isn't necessary to change it, but maybe not in quick play. That way it's like balancing and since it is quick play, it shouldn't matter as much there. But I'll go a little bit later. But B7, kind of, what do you got on? Do you have like a similar opinion, a dissenting opinion, if against the scoreboard, or?
I actually don't have much of an opinion. I don't care either way.
Okay.
I just didn't like. Because I mean it's in League of Legends, and I'm assuming
It's in a lot. It's in most games.
it's
Like,
in like CS:GO and shit like that. So like I mean, it's obviously they're toxic. I mean,
people
Overwatch is a toxic game in itself anyway. So
people are toxic. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Don't hate the game, hate the player.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean that's gonna be there no matter what. I enjoy it like just to see where my stats are compared to the rest of the game.
Yeah.
I didn't like the overlay for the first beta. It was just
Messy.
it took up way too much of the screen and was just like overstimulating. I think the new layout for it's a lot better, but I mean that's pretty much my opinion on it. I don't have much negative opinion about it. Like I just like for me like comparing my stats to like the rest of everyone in the game. Like I mean if someone is on the other team that's the person carrying who they're focusing, obviously, you know, team up on them and then you can just steamroll through.
Yeah. So it does give you some information. Okay. Liz, opinions, thoughts on the new scoreboard? Is it kind of same, differing?
Yeah, so pretty much reiterating what Daisy said, it definitely does promote the want to argue with people who are trying to essentially call out people on the team that aren't doing as much as they could or should be. Especially if you're, playing a support like I normally am. It's kind of like, well, I have more damage than one of the DPS on my team, and that's probably why we're doing bad, but or is it because the other tank on the other team has more damage than our tank does, or has more elims, or they're doing, more healing than we are, or something like that. So it's always the sense of like you have the opportunity to be able to compare yourself and your team against everybody else. So it can be toxic in nature, which is unfortunate, but I think that the only way that I've found to mitigate that is to queue with people who queue in differing roles than what I play. So if you were to like duo support or duo DPS, you can only make up for so much of what the rest of your team is going to do. So if I queue as a duo support, for example, we can only do so much healing to make up for, say, if neither of our DPS are getting the elims or the damage that they need.
Absolutely.
All the healing in the world can't help that. So I think queuing with someone who's playing in a different role, like if you're a DPS main, queue with a support or queue with a tank, and that can really help your play style to get your team to do what it needs to do.
Okay. So Raptor, I know you've kind of been out of it maybe the most as far as the game goes, but how would you feel just of the addition of, I guess, the scoreboard and just these, I guess, displayed stats?
Yeah, absolutely. You guys actually touched on all the things I was going to bring up. You nailed it. There's not a single thing I thought of when you guys first brought it up that you didn't touch. It's validation for people who think they're carrying. It's blame for people who they think are worse. Seeing the other team is useful if you use it to try to determine why they might have an upper hand on you. Well, yeah, so-and-so is doing this. We need to counter that. Which is, in Overwatch, a game where you can change your setup, unlike Valorant or something.
Yeah.
That's huge. You can actually nitpick the thing that you need to change in order to win. That's cool, if you're cooperative and willing to change. On the other hand, blaming something because the stats don't validate. So, for instance, wasting an enemy ult. If you've been super effective, letting somebody not use their abilities, blowing an ultimate, doing something, that's a huge game impact, but will never show in the stat.
Okay, yep.
So the stats are only going to determine what's important. And if you're only using that to determine how the game's going, for instance, you stalled them for 15 minutes, but your DPS or your support has gold damage, well, you're still winning that game. But you might be bickering internally anyway. So the stats should not be the only justification for how your team is doing.
Okay.
And for Demi's point, if you don't look at it, it doesn't matter. And that's very true. You don't have to look at it just because it's there.
Yeah.
But for anybody who wants that information, it is invaluable.
Yeah.
It is a good measure, and as B7 pointed out, it's in many other games.
Yep.
And there are many other games with voice and text chat. And people seem to get by with it. It's a feature that we can use for good or evil, and we seem to go toxic. But
you're right.
It's existed before. People haven't said we need to get rid of it, and they keep implementing it. So
yeah,
it's a fact of game life. I don't see it It's not a revolutionary thing. It's not groundbreaking. I personally think it would be used more toxically than positive. But
Absolutely.
as Liz points out, if you want to limit that, you people who do their role.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you can mitigate that, and then it's meaningless. So it's just helpful. So
Okay.
yeah, you guys touched on everything I wanted to talk about.
And you essentially just touched on the one point that I was gonna add is that those numbers don't exist in a vacuum or whatever, where there's no other outside factors. It's just numbers. It's where, like you said, exactly what you said. Like, there are other aspects to Overwatch because it is an ability-based game. Like, the Ana might not have gold or hopefully silver, but might not have gold healing. But she has, slept, almost every ult, slept the Genji blades, done this, and all that stuff doesn't show up on the scoreboard. The Zen may have discorded the right targets at the right moment. The tanks, defended well. Reinhardt blocking every shatter or every ult, Zarya bubbling, the pin, or just saving somebody from death. That's why I don't think it's it can be beneficial, and it is every other game. I think Overwatch is the exception where it's not as useful because of those other factors, and that's why maybe that's I know it doesn't change anything, but that would be my only thing, is just not having it in quick play, because it is that game mode where people are, if you're there by yourself or with one other person, you're usually there just to mess around, have fun, which is fine. But competitive, maybe that or a form of that scoreboard. But I do think that it is going to invite a lot of toxicity, because everyone's not, taking everything to an account. When Overwatch, for Overwatch 1, it was something as simple as, I know I did have gold damage a lot, but as May, you didn't always, because, your thing was, she doesn't freeze people in Overwatch 2, but in Overwatch 1, she literally froze people. She slows them down in Overwatch 2, so her actual freeze is gone. But Overwatch 1, it was, you froze the target, or you blocked off a team, you blocked off an ult, you blocked off a D.Va bomb, in the Tanamura, you fucked the Rhino over several times by just trapping him on the other side. It's just little stuff like that, I feel, that are not taken into account, and if people are looking for someone to blame, they won't take any of that other stuff into account. It doesn't matter how much other stuff, even as D.Va, because it now shows, the ults eaten and stuff, none of that's going to be taken into account if, say, they're looking for someone to blame. The D.Va just ate the grab or something, or just ate the tracer bomb from the healers, but the team starts losing, and then D.Va does, her stats don't look favorably in comparison to everybody else. She might be the target, or I don't know if remakes are on there, but that might be the target. Doesn't matter. She herself hasn't died, but one time. Oh, D.Va remaked 8 times. Well, okay, but how many times did I actually die? It's just, there's so much in Overwatch 2 being an ability-based game that stats, I feel, only help so much, and they do more so add to the toxicity of it, in that where you're playing with 5 rando, or 4 randos in this case now. It's just, that's just the way it is. We're not going to go into psychology, but the human psyche, it's how can I focus this somewhere else? Because I don't want to be I don't want to be the center of attention or blame in this case. Everyone wants to be validated or be yeah, I'm the one doing this, but when it's on the other foot, it's no, don't look over here. Don't talk about me. Because I know I feel like that, it's one of those things too, where, say, as a second healer, the Zen might be somehow bronze if you have a Roadhog, but then is the Roadhog feeding too much, or is the Zen not healing enough? Because if I've had a lot of healing as Roadhog before, and I know that's some of that is feeding, and some of that actually is just, I haven't died, I'm just essentially using rebreather off cooldown, or even using it to, because Roadhog is he's like the tank everyone was always is not a tank. He's just a DPS with a giant health pool. Yeah. And he certainly can be. That's the thing, especially with his changes later in the game where, I'll pat myself back a little bit. It's just one of those things where you can jump in front of a healer, use rebreather, and eat all that damage, stay alive, and then, or just the other tank, when Reinhardt's pushing back, you hit your rebreather, because I think it's 50% less damage or something he takes. So just eating some of that damage or mitigating 50% of the damage, sure, you take 300, health worth, but 50% of that is lost. So it's as a Roadhog, are you doing that? You know what I mean? Are you taking those shots for other people and by for that reason have to heal a bit. Yeah, it's
That was something that I forgot to mention too. On that scoreboard that they updated for the new beta, they are trying to track some of those things that aren't necessarily damage and elims. So there is a new part of that board that shows your mitigated damage as well. So you can say,
okay.
okay, Diana doesn't have gold or silver healing, but she has the most mitigated damage on the team, as
Yeah.
opposed to like the Genji blocking damage or your Sigma absorbing damage.
Yep.
So those kinds of things might make a little bit of a difference too.
Hopefully it's in there because like I said, it's unfortunately those numbers you can't just say okay these are the numbers, but as everyone kind of hit on or either alluded to, it's where you can see who the problem is on the other team by seeing their stats. Like it might literally be that the Genji has gold heals and like gold somehow damage mitigated because he's using deflect appropriately, or the Zen has gold damage or something, and you're like, okay, well we have to kill him because like just as a tank especially, I know all of us have played tank at some point. It's nothing worse than having like the Zen orb on you and then you're essentially melted within seconds. Or it was a frustration I was having when we were playing with Ray and Hunter yesterday, and it's why I don't like playing tanks with friends, because I can yell at somebody and it's not good that I'm necessarily yelling, but I'm like, I don't like standing here while the other Ryan is swinging at me and like he's not being punished for it. Like if it happens once or twice, sure. But if I'm continuously just holding up my shield and then I get yelled at for not swinging occasionally, well, it's because I'm dead when I drop the shield. Or why isn't your shield up? The shield's been broken because, you know what I mean? Like there's little stuff like that I feel like, it's just that's going off like on a tangent here because we can kind of break up into little other things about Overwatch. But those are my frustrations with the tank play in Overwatch. Is it's just the way the older tanks especially are set up is they are so much focused around team play where you do have to have that backup. Like the Reinhardt does have to have, I feel has to have a second tank in order to be the most effective, because then he can either focus on the front line or there are cases where he can just get help. You know what I mean? Like since Anna's introduction or Zen, having a Zarya cleanse you of anti or the orb, great. Having a Roadhog be able to hook somebody near you and then you just start swinging instead of having to go balls in, great. Diva, fucking DMing you. Like it's just the tank duos with Ryan and then a lot of others are just, for me, pretty awesome. And not having that when Overwatch 2 comes in, and sorry, I jump around a lot, so just, but not having that when Overwatch 2 comes out for me is going to be frustrating. It's just, I guess, learning how to play the game differently. But for me, there's so many games out there that are brawly style that's why I liked Overwatch. It still is somewhat of a team aspect, even though people don't play it like that. Like the people who win the most are the people who play as a team, coordinate ults. Fucking, for years, B7 and Daisy had the, Shatter, Diva Bomb kind of thing that they always had going on when they played those roles together. Because it was essentially, most people didn't know what to do about it, or they didn't see it coming. And even if they did, unless they like timed it perfectly, because those two kind of had it where they did have the timing down, someone's going to die. At least 2 or 3 people are going to die every time. So like stuff like that I'm gonna miss. It's lost fun. Like
not only that, but the Ryan Zarya combo, like I mean, to this day is still the best. Like
it is.
Duo.
Yeah.
Because we could both have ultimate. I could shatter,
mm-hmm.
and then next fight you could grab. When like you get like 2 or 3 people in the grab, I get my shatter back, and then like the third fight I have my shatter again, and it's just 3 fights, back to back to back. If played correctly, obviously, we could win essentially 3 team fights.
Yeah. So
and granted, it could be done against us.
Exactly.
But
that's the thing. It's like it's whoever's using their, and it's not even ultimates, because I think all of us at some point have slept Orion about to shatter just because timing. It's like you see how he's moving, and then as soon as he drops his shield, you hear the cue. Okay, yeah, you hear the cue. He gets slept, and then you're like, oh, don't worry, I slept him. Like that's a great feeling. Like I said, almost all of us. I think Demi's the only one who doesn't play Ana enough to have done that yet, but I think the rest of us have done that at some point where it's just like, fuck yeah, like stop the shatter, stop this, But I guess I'll come back to a little bit about just like my feelings of Overwatch in general, but we're gonna go here. We'll start at the bottom this time with Raptor. Just, I guess, what are your favorite just essential parts of Overwatch? You touched on it a little bit, I know, but do you have anything else you'd like to add about favorite parts or just favorite aspects of Overwatch, I guess, in this sense?
Not in its current.
Fair. Okay.
Everything I enjoyed about Overwatch was from release, maybe up until Moira.
Okay.
Because I think Doomfist was after Moira. Am I correct in that?
Probably. I'd have to check, but yeah, Doomfist was somewhere in there, and then yeah, that was yeah.
But just the whole theme of all the new release characters were becoming more and more and more independent.
Mm-hmm.
Escape mechanics, CC abilities, and it wasn't what the game was in my mind, because it's all about coordination. It's all about how can I link this with my team. And if everybody's just off doing their own thing, self-sufficient, then it's not Overwatch anymore in my mind.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's perfectly fine. Like, your ideal of Overwatch doesn't have to be exactly the same as anyone. It started as something that you got into, kind of opinion-wise, and then it changed. So you're like, I no longer like this version of Overwatch. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, I know some people like to be like, you just don't want to evolve. It's like, no, I purchased a game, it turned into a different game, and I no longer like said game. You know, you can throw jabs at each other, friends and stuff, like, but I think, in honesty, people do have to realize that someone is allowed not to, like, you know, balance changes or just general for Overwatch. I guess just yeah, it's looking like it. We'll switch over here soon, but I just want to give everyone a chance. So Liz, I guess, do you have any other things you'd like to add about Overwatch? I know likes, dislikes. I know since you are a person who doesn't mind the kind of brawling nature. I mean, I guess
I've gotten to play so much Brig recently. It's great.
Yeah.
People don't know what to do with me.
That's good. But yeah,
but yeah, I think I like the general nature of the game. It's like I said, pretty much one of the only first person shooters that I've been able to get into and stick with.
Mm-hmm.
Part of that is probably just the nature of like me being comfortable with the game. You know, I know at this point I've played so much of it. I know the character abilities. I know who does what and when, and you can kind of anticipate when people are going to try and use their abilities on you, so that can also help you in the game a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Versus it's uncomfortable when you start a new game and you don't really know how people play these characters or what they're going to do or when they're going to do it. So it's also part of that comfort in it, I think, for me too.
Okay. So there are comments you guys are saying, like, as far as the length of this, we can do Overwatch. We are at an hour 11. And then save these other topics. It's kind of up to you guys.
Let's do it Avatar at least. We binged that.
Well, I guess who has a kind of a hard stop? Let's go with that. Like, because if we don't have enough people, I'd rather save the topics for when we have more people. And you can just type it in chat if you want, if you have a hard stop, if you don't want to know. But I'd prefer people not to feel like, you know, forced to stay just because we are still talking. If you have something you'd like to do or just stuff to get done. You know, 3 of us here are no-lifers. The other 3 of you typically have social lives. So that's kind of jealous, but at the same time not, because luckily my girlfriend is as much of a shut-in as I am. So it's good times. No, yeah, right. But I guess, do any of you have if you guys need to stop a time? Daisy, Liz, B7, Raptor...
Don't have an exact time, but one of my roommates needs to go laptop shopping, so she's like, I don't know, I didn't think about laptops, so
okay,
or computers, so I have to go help her with that, but I don't think she gave me a specific time.
Okay, Daisy, do you?
I don't have a hard cutoff time. I just know, like, while we were in a flow of Overwatch, like, I didn't want to have to cut off and stop opinions that people had. Like, it's enough to keep going, unless people feels like we're going too hard and we want a switch of pace.
I'm fine with keep going because I do kind of have stuff I'd like to talk about in general, like, but we don't have to. Like I said, I know I did give you guys what we were going to, and I don't want anyone to feel like, hey, I was kind of here for the Avatar or something. Like, I am thinking that regardless, the MCU is probably going to be another one, just because we are already an hour in, and while I can, like I said, I don't have a specific time. The MCU I think is going to take longer than just, you know, possibly an hour. So I'm going to say right now that we're probably going to axe the MCU and then just move that to a different one if we do this again. But if we want to go into Avatar, we can. If we want to kind of see where we end when we run out of stuff with Overwatch and then see where we're at, we can kind of do that too. Yeah,
I might dip out after the Overwatch, because I mean, I've seen Avatar: The Last Airbender, but I haven't watched it recently.
That's fine. Like I said, there's no requirement. There's no, like, you have to be here for a certain. Well, you actually have to be here for an hour, and you guys have all met that criteria. So, Yeah. If I guess
Yeah.
let's do that. Does anyone have anything else they'd like to add about Overwatch? We
Uh,
were kind of going, so Liz kind
yeah,
of said
sorry.
hers. B7, no, B7. You were the next. Did you have anything you were gonna say? Just kind of what you like
Rap
about
Raptor brought up the point about like the Ryan stats. So like
9 p.m. Eastern, right?
uh and I think in Overwatch 2 they dropped his shield even more to
Mhm.
1200.
I think so.
And so it's funny because I make jokes of even in Overwatch 1, like I like sorry, completely off track, the
No,
Orisa change. I
at
love
this point we're good. We're just talking about
yeah, no, I love the Orisa changes. The to me, like I could never get her pull down correctly. I did not. I still to this day could not judge like the distance from the ball to pull someone closer to the ball. Couldn't do it.
hmm
But I do like the changes in her spear. I understand that it's more fast paced. So like, while her shield is still like available to use, you know, you throw it forward, you move up with the shield. But like her spear and her new DM essentially ability I do enjoy the when I play it during
Oh
the
yeah,
first beta.
the spinny javelin twirl is it's fun.
Yeah,
Yeah, it really is.
yeah.
But yeah,
It she feels like because like to me like I call her the useless horse because like in Overwatch 1 her shield is paper thin with like 600
yeah.
health
So
but you place it down and it's you blink and it's gone.
so unfortunately, yeah, that was just a matter of shields were too strong. Like they kept adding
Yeah.
shields and a 2000 shield and then a I think it was either 900 or something at the time of her release
Yeah.
it led to like 100% shield uptime. So yeah.
Well, and then like so like they changed Ryan's from 2000 to 1600, which I got used to. And now, I mean, like, you know, they're dropping it down to 1200, and the only thing is, though, like with Overwatch 2, you're only tank. So you walk out into a chokehold or you walk out into a corridor, that's all they're seeing is that shield.
The big ass
And,
shield, yeah.
like, I mean, now, because, like, in Overwatch 2, they give tanks, I think, like a 30% damage reduction, like, in general.
I think that's it. I just so I know the last
Okay.
time I had checked for sure, the tanks definitely got less healing or less alt charge for being healed, and then I think they Ryan originally had 30% less knockback. I think that was applied to all tanks, like globally. So I'm not sure about the damage because armor is armor still a thing? Do you guys know?
Yes.
Uh,
Armor's
Yes.
still a
Okay,
thing.
Junker
so
Queen gets armor,
okay,
and
yeah,
she can
that's
generate it for other people too.
yeah. So I know that already kind of mitigates some damage. So I'm not sure about. I actually don't know the numbers for as far as what tanks get reduction wise.
I could be talking out my ass, but I thought there was
I,
some damage reduction. But,
yeah.
like, because in Overwatch 1, like you can have the 1600 shield and I'll have full 500 health. I'll turn a corner and I get melted in 3 seconds. And there's
Yeah.
nothing I can do. And like that's even with there's if there was a Zarya that bubbled me. Like now there is no
Yeah.
second chance with another tank. And not only that, there's no cleansing anymore from tanks.
Yeah, so that's kind of always been the weirdest part. Just adding on to you a little bit about Overwatch is they've never implemented a healer with a cleanse ability. Like as of right now, the only cleanses in the game are Zarya's bubbles. Then there's Reaper's Fade, Moira Fade, and May Ice Block. I think those are the only things that cleanse the actual negative effects of Nade or just other stuff in general.
But the
Um,
one like other than Zarya, they only cleanse themselves. There's
Yes,
no
yeah,
like
they're all self cleanses. Yes, you are correct. There's
right.
no healer that cleanses other people unless I'm missing something. Because even Zen's trance doesn't like. That's like the
No.
ultimate, I guess, kind of anti Zen ult thing is just save your nade for when he trances, and it no
Yeah,
longer
and then
matters.
with Junker Queen, I believe it's just her ult who also antis. Like
Yeah,
who makes her
I
blow.
don't know what it is. That'd be you and Liz because I haven't really looked at her, but yeah, I know she
I
has
know
anti
she,
as well too. Yeah.
but I think it's just her ultimate that antis them. But again, that's like, but also with hers, it's an AO. Like when she ults, like it's a straight line action
Mhm.
that antis people. So then you have that, and then you have Nate, but then you have no cleanse. So like when playing tank, and I mean, granted, I don't have as much time in the beta as Overwatch 1, but
Mhm.
I mean, you like as a Reinhardt, you get anti, your last resort is hide around the corner or shield up, and then you just gotta wait it out.
Yeah.
And then not only that, I mean, granted, they changed the hack from the
Oh my
7-year
god.
hack in
Yeah,
Overwatch
fucking
1
hack.
to I think it's just a 2-second hack now in
Uh,
Overwatch 2.
it's one, I think, or it was one, because and then it's you. what was it? You get hacked. It's 1 second, and then you can use your abilities, but then you still take more damage from Sombra. I think for like five
Yep.
seconds or something.
Which, I mean, that's a lot better than the current hack that
Yeah.
we have, where Reinhardt is just sitting with the dick out in the middle of the chokehold for like 6 seconds while everyone just beams him down.
Oh, it's worse when the Sombra's an asshole. Hacks you, then EMPs
Oh,
you,
yeah,
then
it's-
hacks you
yeah.
again, and it's like,
Exactly.
bitch, are
And
you
it's like-
serious? Like,
Yeah. It's like, I'm just trying to play the game, and
Yeah.
I'm just gonna just sit here and just not do anything. But, I mean, there's been multiple times in Overwatch 1 where, I mean, even with the dual tank combo, we'll walk around the corner, engage in a fight, and I'm done. Like, I press W to turn back to spawn, you
yeah,
know?
I do think that there are. I don't know. I think they're trying to leave it so there's still multiple playstyles, but the way the game is, they're telling people they're supposed to play the game. It is brawly. It is those solo fights, and the old tanks. I feel like haven't played enough. I'm not an expert, but just from a mediocre person standpoint, the older tanks are going to suffer so much more because they don't have like maybe not even mobility, because I know Joker Queen doesn't have a bunch, but they don't have any ways to mitigate, or they're just so big that
Junker
they
Queen
are
has
just
health steal, so
that?
she can sustain her.
Well, she
Junker
has-
Queen has health steal.
yeah, she has that, and she's just a smaller frame too. So
Yeah.
like while it's not tiny, once Ryan's shield is broken, he is like, if you're missing a Reinhardt standing in front of you, that's a you thing.
That's pretty sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But, like,
whereas other characters, they can hide behind shit, like, or they can go behind a pole or something. So
well, like, and you bring about like mobility, like for Reinhardt, they took his like 400, so he's 400 shield, so he has 1200 shield. But don't worry, they gave him a second flame strike. And, like, he has like that I mean, they gave him the ability to cancel his charge, which should have been implemented. In
the
the
charge
game
is still
anyway.
shit. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, well, okay, I can get into a whole rant.
We're not gonna. We'll go after.
That doesn't even make sense. Where I could try to pin someone dead on and just bounce them about, but fine. But I mean, like from the videos I've seen, Hog, like I said, is just a old battery. I mean, granted, like they'll get less ult, but
Yes.
I mean,
So I think
there's nothing
Mhm.
protecting the people behind the Hog and the Hog in itself. Like from what I've seen, like most people have been like Orisa, like I haven't seen much Orisa been playing in the second beta. It's mostly just Junker Queen and Sigma.
Yeah, it's the new hero type of thing. Everyone wants to play the new hero when they come out. So I don't think that's necessarily against Orisa, because she does have a bit more survivability these days. I just think people are trying out the new one. So with that, like I said, we're still gonna kind of bounce back and forth, but I want to kind of give Daisy and then Demi kind of chances to any specifics they have about just things they like, or just general play in Overwatch, kind of like just essentially what everyone else has been doing. Daisy, if you want to.
Yeah, I mean, I just like, the camaraderie and stuff that it brought, like, I like working together, and it always felt so good accomplishing goals together, and when it worked, and I loved 6-stack Overwatch.
Yeah, it's
Like,
good times.
It's like one of my, most pleasurable gaming experiences is having, a full, my allies are people that I am intimately familiar with, and, like we know each other so well, and we're just here to have a good time together, and we're succeeding at that, and I don't know, it's like best days,
Yeah.
being able to do those things. So like, I'll always have like, a little spot in my heart for that, like.
Okay.
We just have had so many good memories together. So like, as much as it's, not something I play as much anymore, at least right now, who knows what the future holds, but like, I think that it did that really well for us. And the one thing that I will also say is the unique abilities for the heroes, like, is something that's always set it like apart for me.
Yep.
Like, down to how you fire your weapon, like it's one of the most customizable experiences based on what character you choose, and the fact that you can switch between deaths or between rounds, you don't die, you just go back to spawn in most cases too. Like that has always been a really unique experience that I think has always set it apart. I don't know, there might be other games that have really similar concepts that I just didn't play, but you know, this to the scale that they had it, to the support that it offered when issues came up, they were constantly patching XYZ, like the level that it got, it was like, you know, unapproachable by my standards to like what it offered for that kind of unique experience. Like, you know, you play Apex, but like everyone has the same gun choices and, you know, there's a lot of there's unique abilities for each character, but it was a few. Whereas in Overwatch, you know, every single thing was unique, down to the gunfire and stuff like that.
Sound does a sound like I know they changed the audio in Overwatch 2 and it does sound better.
Sound of Anish firing her gun. Oh, so good.
Yeah, it like they did tweak like the
Can't
different
relate.
gun sounds and like just ability sounds in general.
It's such like a pss, pss, pss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've also changed like visuals of maps. Like I know Gibraltar looks like clean. Like
Yeah.
like I don't like and I know too they've added little like bits and pieces to like just geometry like in the middle of the map. Like if you like on Nepal, the one where I don't know the specific one, but like the one where usually you start off and you go up the ramp to the right or the left, and then you
Village,
have the main
yeah.
point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
village.
So if you think about like the choke point in the middle, there used to be just nothing, and then you would have the point in front of you, and you have to go through one of the doors. They added just a little post like right after the choke for cover.
Okay.
Mhm.
So
And they added that like I know they added something like that for other maps where like they just add like a little piece of geometry just for cover.
okay.
I think like
So,
on Hollywood is another one.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
On
fine.
And,
Point
like,
B.
Oh, go ahead, Daisy.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, I get conflicted about it, because I don't really know how to feel about it, but the other aspect that really gets me is the fact that every time a hero comes out, the game evolves. And the game is ever evolving. Because that's fun. That's fun that nothing ever gets stale and nothing ever gets boring. But I feel such a deep sense of nostalgia for some of the periods. It makes me so sad that we will never go back to that. Like there were just some patches, some periods, some, you know, hero releases.
Goats.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I
that
think
like you're
Raptor
like
said
that
about
is
the tanks. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Like it's fun that the game's ever evolving, but wow, I get so sad thinking like that's never going to be a thing again. Like that was such a fun period, and people who weren't around at the time will never be able to experience it, and we won't be able to ever again either. So like it's, you know,
100% agree.
awesome to have that memory with each other, but it's sad because like that was such a good period for the game.
Yep. I 100% agree with that sentiment because there are times that, you know, preferences as just playing certain heroes or just, you know, releases like release dates. Yeah, that's cool. So Demi, we're gonna let you kind of interject here, and then we'll kind of see. We'll just bounce around after that. Just wanted to give everyone a chance to say anything specific, but I guess same question to you. Just yeah, your just overall thoughts.
Okay, so going off of like one thing that I kind of like will miss from Overwatch 2 is we lose a friend. So it's like going from 6 to 5. Like I don't really understand the whole like game aspect of it. All I see it as it's one less friend to play with, and then
Probably
like I
three
guess
Overwatch League
see
players.
yeah, like you're in a team in Overwatch League and you're like, boot him, or her, whatever. And I see it as like, oh, it's like one less friend could join, or you could see it in the positive light, or like, okay, I don't have that many friends, so it's like easier to make a group or
Yeah.
a 5 stack now. So it's like. I don't know, because I play video games, as we know, not competitively. I play it for friends. Honestly, I don't think I've ever played a single player game. And so it's like I'm here for the multiplayer aspect. I'm here for the as many friends could possibly fit into a game kind of aspect. Like literally the only game that I think is kind of single player is Minecraft, but I play with people like still technically. So it's just like I don't know, that aspect's kind of sad to think about. There was another thing that I wanted to talk about. Um,
Told you to write it down.
yeah, well, I should, live and let learn. But I don't know. It's like I see Overwatch 2 as just gonna be like Overwatch 1 for me, but different kind of design. One less friend. Still will put the noise down to 1. That's really nothing is changing for me. I'll probably have to work harder, to be honest, which I don't look forward to. Being a healer, because I don't really have another tank to like swerve in and out of. I will definitely be probably focused more. So it's just like that kind of aspect is not really appealing for me, someone who plays casually. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay. Raptor, you said you kind of want something you wanted to add?
Yeah, just 2 things actually that Daisy touched on. One of which is audio. You have to admit that the audio quality and the information that the audio can tell you is a little unique in the game. Like, you can hear a grenade being thrown in CSGO, or you can hear jet pop or ult in Valorant, but the information that you get from ultimates, or where that is, or not being able to see them, is invaluable. You don't have to
For those
ask
who
your
have
team.
audio.
Well, that's part of the point, but yeah, the game was designed with good audio.
Those who can
Too
hear the
noisy.
pitter-patter of little Mercy footsteps.
Exactly.
Yeah, or the giant footsteps of Reaper after he
Those of you who pay
teleported.
attention, you know
Couldn't
who's on
tell.
the other side of a wall. You know
Yeah.
when Doomfist is charging up his
Oh,
dash,
God,
and how
yeah.
far that's going to go.
But you're like, from where? Like,
It's
Well,
like a
I was gonna say it's the same thing with the
sensory
Reinhardt
overload.
torch.
Yep.
It's like it's
so well
too
designed.
much.
No, it's not. It's great.
It's way too much.
I think you're the only one with that opinion.
yeah,
Wow.
that's
Someone
fine.
who's
Demi.
deaf in one ear, it's not too much.
Yeah.
It's just because like when you're trying to listen to like call outs or like tips and then you hear like pitter patters and like it's way too much, and then like if your roommates come in and like trying to have a conversation with you, it's way too much, especially
It
for
seemed like a
someone
personal
like
problem.
I was gonna say this sounds
so
way too
much.
good.
So-
My roommate
It is
doesn't
a
talk
little
a lot,
personal.
so
That was fair, Demi,
Yeah.
for you. That is, I get where you're coming from, but I
So
think for
much.
the person who is playing the game as in a more serious
Yeah, I
manner,
get it.
it's absolutely fabulous to be able to know that, hey, so and so just used their ult while you're at spawn. You're like, oh, okay, cool. I don't have to worry about that anymore. Or
For comp, I'll put it to 2.
Or when Demi also uses her ult and spawn, I'm like, wait, so we don't have this anymore.
we're not gonna do that.
Don't at me there.
We're not gonna go there right now. This a situation happened where I essentially rage quit because Demi, she thought speed boost or Soundberry gave her speed boost. So yeah,
I'm
that was-
not a Lucio player, okay?
she also thought Reaper's ult was literally called die die die.
Yeah, it was like that's what he says.
So as you can see, Demi definitely is our casual player.
I was saying Reinhardt says hammered down, but that's not the name of his ability.
I will not take it away from her that she can be fun to play with in quick play. Just not comp. She's because, like I said, she brings me her problems. But I guess Raptor, I didn't mean to cut you off. Did you have anything like in addition to just the sound you were saying?
Yeah, it's one other thing. Actually, Daisy mentioned it. It'd be like a test server feature or a what's the word? Making your own
Legacy.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, where you could set up. I want to run this pack to play a game
That
at
would
any
be
point in the game history would be an amazing feature, and it should
That-
be so easy to implement.
You would
That
think,
you could bring back all your old players.
yeah, because they claim they make claims like they can't do like stuff like that. I'm like, so you guys just deleted old code for what reason? Like you would. That doesn't make sense to me, and I'm not a game designer. I don't know any of that, but I'm just saying that just seems like a cop out more than that as an actual reason when they tell people that. Because I'm like,
They'll
Any
run the
s-
experimental server though.
Yeah.
with other, and then get rid of it. So
yeah, because
if you
it's
can implement it, it would
yeah,
be an
it's-
amazing.
I agree. Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's no extra server space on their part.
Mhm.
Like
yeah,
you
because
leave Overwatch 1 with
Mhm.
all of its iterations playable by anybody, and no matter how they feel about where the game's heading, they can always go to a time where they felt comfortable.
In like a PTB or something.
Yes, exactly.
and
You're
that
not
could-
gonna lose anyone.
and that's the thing. That would more so be quick play, but because I don't see them doing comp for separate. But that would be an excellent way, I feel, to as Raptor said, bring back or keep some of your old players, because I know a lot of us feel that way where we didn't like the addition of something, and right now they have it where you can literally create games. So it's not like you said, Raptor, you're not taking up servers because you do it now where people can create their own servers with their own rules. This would literally just let you, hey, select this patch, load, and maybe for them it's like, whoa, the game can't, there may be some kind of limitations in the background. I don't know them, but I don't feel like if they can do all this shit where you can change, like the modifiers let you change alt charge and then like jump speed and all this, like in your own games that you create, that it shouldn't be that much of an issue to just like literally have settings that go in like that. Might be. Right now I am talking out of my ass, so I'm not saying this is gospel, but I just go ahead because you. Oh, Daisy.
Oh, I was just going to say that if they could do that, if that's possible for them to do that, that information should be invaluable to them. Yeah. Because if they see a spike in patch 3.3, they can look into it and be like, why do people want to go back here so bad? Like, if there's like a big player base that's really circling around a certain patch or a certain time, that's like invaluable data for them for where they can attract people back on a future patch.
Or just
like there's something in that patch that's missing or that was added, like that breaks that aesthetic. Like they could always take that information.
Or just the general
care about the people anymore.
Just the general vibe, like, because even if you can't do the exact patch as you're saying, you can take that information and seeing what particular play style people liked about it and kind of like either steer towards that or try to like make changes that maybe kind of encourage that in addition to the play. Because with like what I was gonna say, or did you have anything else, Daisy? I didn't mean to cut you off. I apologize. No, it was just like the essentially the brawly style. I've touched on it before, but I'm just gonna reiterate here. The fact that it is less team based is what kind of pulls me away. As a person, if I'm going to be playing tank, like I don't want it to just be me against, the other tank or, just these 1v1s, because there are so many games where you can always already do 1v1s. I was a person who like was an advocate for role queue. I still do think, given how how immature the player base could be, that role queue wasn't a bad idea. But I do think we found out that it does kind of limit you in certain instances where where Pharaoh is the problem and the hit scan people have queued for other roles and the person who is in the DPS role can't really play any kind of hit scan, so we have to kind of make adjustments where you hope you can, as if you're the DPS and you're a hog, you pick hog, hooker or something, just do other things. But if you can't and it's just where she has a pharmacy, it kind of becomes where that hit scan is just like almost needed in certain situations. And I know we all get frustrated by that because it's like Demi and B7 will both get DPS and there's a pharmacy and neither one of them play hit scan, which is fine, but that's not their kind of play style. And then we're just kind of at the whim of the fucking pharmacy unless, the healers can somehow handle her. And that's the thing, it is a team game. Sometimes you should need to be able to do that in other roles, but there's so much going on that you can't always, take the Zen or take the Ana to focus here. And like as fun as it is killing Pharaoh's Zen, it's not always possible because some of them are smart enough to keep their distance, and orbs have travel times and stuff. So that's like when they get closer, it's a lot easier to deal with them. But when they're like off in the distance, you're sitting there trying to fling orbs, and it's like 10 seconds behind. So I just feel.
If I'm not mistaken, they extended the travel time in Overwatch 2, right? The Zen's orbs are slower, but they charge faster.
Is that what
Slightly,
it is?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
I was reading the patch today.
Yeah, it's an extra second or two, I believe.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Okay,
so
see.
We're almost back to OG Discord orb where it flies.
Yeah, you can see it. Yeah, because it's almost instant nowadays. But yeah, now you see it flying. But no, it's just like I still think the idea of role queue is a good idea. I do think that they need to find a way to. What's that?
You don't miss having 4 DPS, 1 tank,
I
and
was
1
gonna say Bastions.
Oh,
It tries to force team.
I wish
Yeah.
I wish there was a way though, cause like you were talking about earlier, like if I select DPS and I only know like Pharah and Junkrat and like kind of know Reaper but don't, and it's just like if there is a Pharah or there's an Echo or anything, there's literally nothing I could
Echo's
do.
a fucking thing. Yeah, I forgot.
And it's very like unfortunate because then you guys start getting mad. It's like, oh, you should have learned a hit scan. It's just like I'm not good with that. So it's like even if I learned it, I will suck. So it's just like I could be Soldier, I could be McCree, I could or Casey, whatever his name is, and And it's just like if there was a quesadilla, if there was a way that like say like there was a button where like okay, as a DPS I agree to change with a healer, like say you were playing a healer and you would like click the button at the same time, we could switch roles. Like if there was a way that like there were, like if both parties agreed to change, then that could happen. Cause like one thing that's literally the only reason why I learned healing is because I was so afraid to go and like lock into DPS and like them having a Pharaoh or whatever, and I'm like I can't, nothing I could do because when
okay, yeah, sorry.
So like the original one we used to play is like it was, I don't know, it is like a lot. I like it too because then that way like we know what we're going and getting into and like we don't get 4 DPS and stuff, but it is very stressful for a casual player like me.
Yeah, so like I do like the idea of, because Raptor and I think Demi just spoke on it, just the idea of being able to switch roles. The only issue with that then is the competitive scoring system, because unfortunately it is broken up into roles per. So
Yeah, I don't care about that.
Yeah, unless they went back to just having one kind of competitive score, that would be different. But unfortunately, people do tend to rank differently among the roles if they don't play roles often. But I like almost, that would be my ideal situation, like 2 people agreeing to switch roles and being like, hey, yes, like some kind of prompt where would you like to switch roles with this person? Both people have to be in spawn, of course, and in their menu, so there's no like tomfoolery. Because I think it was initially during roll queue, there was some tomfoolery going on where there were 2 pharaohs in the game, because what essentially you would do is you would kill one pharaoh, would kill themselves, and then they would select another character. The other person would pick Pharah, and then Mercy would res the first Pharah because she's still technically that role. And that was one of the most of things. And they're like, oh, well, Blizzard didn't patch it, like the team that did that a couple times. And I was just like, so that makes it right? Like, one Pharah is bad enough, but having the Mercy fly between 2 healing them, it's you're gonna lose. Like, unless you have the God hit scan on your team, which some people might, you're gonna lose the game, because it's just like you're not only dealing with one, fucking flying person, you're dealing with 3. And with Echo here, that's kind of how it feels sometimes now. I don't know what possessed them to make another flying DPS. Like,
That should gonna be healer.
I still think Echo should have been a healer. Like, I had expressed some ways they could have did that, but it's just like, why do another DPS? You say you need more healers and tanks, but you're giving us more of the characters that literally have the longest queues instead of giving people incentive to play those other 2 roles. So it was just, I was like, I think that's what I just had it with Overwatch. I think it's about when I was just like, nope, I'm done with this fucking game. I think the only time I have on Echo is probably when I'm like in the, what is it? The between wait times in games. Other than that, I think I refuse to play her. I'm like, no, this is bullshit. This is stupid. I don't know why you would do this. So no, I think that's the only way really to do it, and I don't know how they'd go about it. Like I said, you'd have to do the old kind of role system, or the old competitive point system, but I don't know. There really should be a way. My frustration, the only reason why I advocated for the role system is because of the 4 DPS or 5 DPS, and literally the one person who decides I don't want to lose this game trying to do something else. Unfortunately, I have won a game with 5 DPS when I played Zen, because it was I think it was Havana or something. It was just one of those where the cart comes up, and then the place where Widow, is it Havana, the newer one? Anyway, it's essentially that all people decided they wanted to play DPS. It was one of the most frustrating games of my life, because it's like, we need some kind of heals. I'm not going to literally sabotage, and I didn't want to be a healer though that couldn't defend themselves in some way, because even Anna's a great character, but most of the time, if you don't have backup, you can still kill a lot of people, but not all of them, or you just So it's very interesting timing. But no,
And you're at the mercy of your cooldowns.
Yeah, you are, and they're long cooldowns, like both of them. And I get why they are, because they're powerful abilities. But then in a game where people don't always listen or help, or just like you have people, not trying to shit, but Hunter, who say the healers should help each other, but then yells at the healers when they're helping each other and not pocketing
When they're
them.
not pocketing.
Yeah. I hope you see this,
Literally
Hunter,
the other
because
day.
it's coming after you. No, there's literally a clip where Daisy is healing him. He dies, reses him, heals him a little bit more, then leaves, and then he dies because she went to go save somebody else, and he blames her because he couldn't win his goddamn one-on-one fight after he was resed, healed, and all this. And I'm like, I was just like done with him because I'm like, no, like at that point you had like 3 lives. This is no longer on anybody else but you. Win your fight faster, like. And I get it doesn't always happen, but yeah, you're saying you're so good, then show because there are other people to heal. And I know Mercy became, especially like with the introduction of the other high HP healer, she became that damage boost / pocket. But that's the thing, I don't think that she should be relegated just to that. Like, it still is a team game. So a Mercy leaving the DPS for a second to go res the tank or go heal the healer in a lot of situations, and maybe that's why I'm stuck where I am. But it's just, I feel like it's more impactful if she's like making sure the tank doesn't die, so you can do what you're doing. Essentially, you can take shots. It's one of those things where I feel there's a cohesiveness where the tanks are there to be the front line. If there's no front liner, the other team is just walking through, then what's the point of having the healer? Because then they have a tank, they're not taking any damage, but they're essentially chasing you around. So it's just one of those things where I can go into DPS all day, but before I do that, I'm gonna kind of see.
Well, piggyback off of that. So it's like recently Hunter and I got in a little argument, and yeah, and
Daisy.
It's like healers are not mind readers, especially when it comes to me, and like they want to go and flank and everything. And as a Mercy, you literally can't follow them because you still have an obligation to heal your other teammates, especially like when you're playing with friends and like, oh, I know like my other healer, insert other healer, is gonna need heals, and like there's just so much more complexity to like choosing, oh, who should I focus. And it's just like I can't go like all the way over here to follow insert DPS and like not be able to go back to my team. And like Mr. Black was kind of going off of like how sometimes I do focus healing the tanks, even though Mercy's heal for the tanks is slow as shit. And I focus the healing the tanks because they're the ones that are protecting like the Ana or the Zen. And I know if they die, then the game's over, at least for our game, because it's like how I play is I suicide me as a Mercy to like literally support anyone else. And if I go off to beyond the like then there's no way for me to do that. Like that's the type of gameplay I like, is supporting others that are like right there in the heat of it.
Insert
And
comment. That's why you're all stuck in silver here. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's fine. I don't care.
I'm fine with being silver. No.
Because it's like, don't get me wrong, I'm fine with like flanking like once or twice, like you have all like go for it, but like staying there constantly, like my entire gameplay is not gonna be me behind like the DPS just damage boosting and like healing. Like that's boring.
Yeah.
Like I like flying, I like getting like swung by a hammer and like like going to Mr. Black for help. Like that I find fun. Like I don't know. There's just a lot like people like kind of shit on like, oh, he's a healer, like whatever, but like I think healing is like a completely different like side of your brain. Like you have to be aware of absolutely everything. You have to make judgment calls of like, oh, who do I heal first, and blah 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 blah. Like, oh, Mr. Black's better than Aaron as a tank, so let me heal him before Aaron. And
No.
I don't know, Aaron doesn't complain as much, so it's just like there's a lot of like little different like
Shots
aspects. And it's like you have to take it into account. And then I kind of want to like steer like to the whole ability thing. Like I've played Apex like for a minute and Valorant a little like for 2 minutes, and Overwatch just has something that they don't have. Like Apex, it feels like like Hunger Games in Minecraft. You do all this work just to die. It's like there's no abilities, it's just guns. It's just like it's not fun. And then Valorant, you don't need to know abilities. I personally don't really use abilities. and it's just guns. And so like that's why I go back to Overwatch, because there's just so much going on. It's like it's pretty, and like I said, there's so many like aspects you have to think about. And in Valorant it's just like, oh, it's either you get aim or you magically
So just
die.
to insert, I will say, because for Valorant and Apex, those are games where the primary focus is the gun most of the time. Valorant
Yeah.
a little bit less,
Yeah.
like the abilities do come
Absolutely.
into play, but they are more
Eh.
gun focused. So
Mhm.
that's probably why you kind of have that preference. Whereas Overwatch, I mean, it's almost not completely, but it mainly is focused around abilities. I mean, Reinhardt is abilities and a hammer. That's essentially it. You know,
Woo!
Moira is also just her abilities because she doesn't actually have like any kind of weapon. You know what I mean? Like
Punch.
Overwatch is an ability game. That's what it was or originally touted as, built as. That's why the majority of the characters, while they have guns, um, it's mainly the hit scans that focus on gunplay. You know, you got McCree, Soldier. You're supposed to be able to hit your shots for, you know, maximum effectiveness. Everybody else, you kind of use your abilities to outplay the person, or they don't just, they're not there as an afterthought. They are there because they're a core part of the game. So
And
yeah, go ahead.
that aspect ties into like why like the healing ability is cool, because there's healers in Valorant, but it's literally not the same. Like
No.
you could play Valorant without a healer, or like if there is a healer, it's like so hard to heal as a healer in Valorant, and it's like useless.
And
And like that's why like there's just so much that could happen as a healer in Overwatch that is just like, I don't know. And to kind of like full circle, I was completely right, Hunter, when you do watch this.
oh,
So
I was like, no, it's
Coming from the Mercy Meat Shield.
yeah, no,
yeah,
it really is just yeah. Unfortunately, those are kind of different games too, like in how they function, like round to round. Whereas Valorant, but which your points are like valid. Whereas yeah, those games are just
Fruity
gun
tooty point
based.
and shooties.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, they're gun based. Overwatch is the game where if you want to use abilities and have that be your focus, yeah, that's essentially it. I mean, May's gun for the longest, like until they changed it later. They made changes as the game went on, and she eventually became one of the only projectile heroes that had fall off, and that was always frustrating to me. I see why, because it's like you shoot somebody from across the map, but it's just like yeah, it's their balancing philosophy is it starts around abilities. Like they're like, well, she can still freeze people, so I think that's why they kept it that way for the longest. But yeah, I don't know. So Overwatch in general, it's still a fun game for me. I let myself get a little bit frustrated too much, and that's kind of a me problem. But like I said, it's more so I don't think the frustration comes with like any sense of entitlement or just like I'm better. It's just more so I unfortunately expect more of the people I play with because I see you guys as better than the randos, and that you know
oh,
maybe it's just expecting more out of people like that I'm playing with that I chose to play with
better than
than I do out
average.
of the randos. And so when it doesn't happen in my mind, it's just like if I wanted to be fucked, I would just go play with 5 other random people, not fucking play with my friends. But it is really just a temperament thing, and sometimes it does get out of hand. But it's just also where I don't know. I feel yeah, it's just a matter of I get frustrated with especially a couple of you have like Ray, Orion, and then Hunter, like all three of them, and I have no problem with it. Like mechanically wise, those are all three probably some of the best people in our group. I know all of us are good in our own right, but when it comes to like actual mechanical skill and aim, those guys like they are really good. And then I'm just like I'm just more about the situation, like being aware of what's going on, and then I know like or I knew a lot of the Overwatch breakpoints or just the ability cooldowns, and that's kind of what I focused on. I was okay with being mediocre because I had friends who I was like, okay, these guys claim they're good, they are good, but they don't pay attention to what's actually going on. They're just like, they don't know. Like Hunter's, we're like, Hunter, what are you doing? He's like, oh, where's everybody? There's 5 deaths in the kill feed, Hunter. Like they're all us. Why did you use your fucking ult? And he's like, oh, I didn't see that, or I didn't pay attention. And I get frustrated, and I'm like, yeah, this is the guy who's actually better than me, but you know, complains about being stuck in diamond, but it's because he doesn't know what the fuck is going on. He is mechanically more gifted, but he doesn't want to pay attention. He wants us to feed him all the information or pocket him. And I feel if he just, you know, fucking took his head out of his ass for a second, yeah, I said that, he'd be a lot further than he is right now, because Hunter is a really good, like, hit scan player. Like, as far as McCree, like, I've seen him do amazing things, but then he does, you know, position himself badly for a hero who doesn't have mobility. And he's like, where was my mercy? And it's like, your mercy was healing the other healer, because if they die over there, then it's just the two of you against 6. And I'm sorry, Hunter, you're not going to kill 6 people while they still have a full charged Reinhardt shield. That's the thing. Like, you got to pay attention to what the fuck is going on. The reason why a mercy leaves is usually to heal the other healer or somebody who is making an impact. And if she left you while you were full health or in a good position, it is then your fault that you left said position because you did not see. Like, Overwatch gives you so much information. We've all said that. Like, it'll tell you if you're being healed by the mercy, because it'll tell you like the beam or whatever being attached. And if you choose to ignore all that, I feel that's kind of more on you. But again, that's just my frustration with DPS in general, because while they are supposed to be the playmakers, Overwatch is not made so they're the only playmakers. I mean, we've done it where we've reduced the effectiveness of healers and tanks more and more. Again, this is just an opinion, but whereas Reinhardt used to be able to make plays by himself, you know, Zen still can, Zarya used to be able to, but they felt, I guess it was more so with GOATs and stuff, that they were doing too much of that. And so then that's where Role Q kind of came in, but even after that, they kept, I guess, neutering those 2 tanks, a couple others too, but you know, Zarya had it where her energy decreased faster, or her, like, she does more damage over null now, yeah, tick rate. And then Reinhardt had it where his shatter time was reduced, or, you know, the amount of damage was increased, but the time was reduced, shield was reduced. Like, it's all these DPS get nerfs too, but I just feel like they're so focused on getting the tanks where they have to rely on the DPS. That's where it was frustrating for me. It's like, the game was when it first came out, I feel like, not first, but, you know, first couple years, it was like in a better state where everyone could feel like they were actually contributing. Whereas now it's like, hold the shield up for your DPS or whatever, or, you know, bubble them at the right time. And I'm all for team play. I mean, I fucking nano Genjis, and it, like, it sickens me to my core, but I do it when I need be, like when Orion's playing. But I feel like other people should be able to make an impact. Anna can with her nades, which is still nice, but like I said, I could go on forever, but I'm kind of trying to make sure, you know, we got anybody's interjections here. Like, so feel free to interject if you guys have anything to add, but it's just
like a quick like snippet, like how you were talking about like understanding like the game and being aware of everything. And I feel like that's something in Overwatch 2 that's going to be kind of lacking, because it's more like lacking because it's more like a vault. So it's like, even if you as a healer are like aware of everything, your one tank is off battling the other tank for like, oh, I'm the better tank. Like it's just like, even if you are aware and like you could like do call outs and stuff, it's very like split up. And then you have your healers like flying all about trying to just survive, and it's just like, I feel like that's an aspect that was really cool about the game that's like gonna be lacking.
I feel you and Sakiba just want your lazy hero where you can just not do anything.
No,
And
like
this is
Mercy
Sakiba's
nowadays
words, not
is
mine,
not...
but Brain Dead Mercy is what she calls her when she doesn't want to actually have to do anything. Not my
Mercy-
words, Sakiba's. So
Suki, I'm sorry, Suki, but it's not true. Because, like, even if I am brain dead and, like, where I'm clicking,
no.
I'm still, like, have to think, like, oh, where am I gonna,
absolutely.
like...
It's not that you literally... It's just, if she doesn't want to have to do anything and just hold one button, she can pick Mercy. But Mercy is... Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But Mercy is so much better than that. Yeah, it's just... I think that's all it is. It's just when she doesn't want to have to run around, she press shift, goes to a character. But no, the like mechanics of Mercy is difficult. They've tried to make it easier in Overwatch 2. I know Liz doesn't like the super jump change, but it was just one of those things where the using Mercy's mobility to its fullest takes like a lot more thought than people realize, because you have to make sure you're going to the right person. You have to make sure you're there for the certain, you know, you kind of have to know her Guardian Angel cooldown, which is low, but if you press it early, you're
I don't even know it.
So I'm not actually calling her Brandon. I don't want hate. I'm just saying that is literally the character one of our friends picks when she does not want to do anything.
There's a reason why people don't play her in Overwatch League.
Yeah.
Did they take away her super jump?
They gave her extra super jump, so now everyone can do it.
Yeah, it's not
Oh.
like where you have to like actually
don't know what
try
it
to
is.
do it. Like
Oh.
it basically makes it a lot easier. So
The number of
everyone can
times
do
I've
it.
gone for a res and accidentally super jumped away from the
Oh,
res and it
no.
cancels
Oh, that's
is
what that
too
is?
many.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I think in the new one
Huh.
it's just like you press space, right? Again, or
It's Guardian Angel space, and I do that all the time,
Yeah,
so I
just
can
getting
get
it.
air away from my res.
Yeah.
So you
Oh,
get the
yeah.
res off and get away because they're going to be aiming for that area
Well, I
as soon
don't
as
like
you go for the
that.
res.
But now
But
it's
yeah,
just
it just
There was-
propels me into the air, and I'm like, well, there goes my res.
Yeah, because there was always a way to super jump. It was just
Yeah,
you
it
had
was-
to intentionally do it.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Now it's
Yeah,
not.
That's
so
it's very
much.
easy to do accidentally.
I also
now.
hate that.
Yeah.
Now that I know it exists.
Yeah.
So
One
Uh.
thing that I think it was only in the second beta that I liked that I saw was different is because back in the day when you played quick play, you would given both sets of the map. Like if you would have attack and defense. And in our group, we have the curse where 90% of the time we will
You're
only play on
welcome.
defense. But they
That's-
added it in Overwatch 2 where you can play essentially competitive rules inside quick play. So like they'll give you the both attack and defense, like, and you know if you're on a escort map and you get 47 meters, like you just have to get to that point when they flip it, which I do actually like that they should bring back, because now I hate it where you sit in queue for X amount of time, you find your game, you play it, and they shoot you back out to the main menu and you gotta wait it all over again. So just, hey, there's
Get
10
old.
people in this lobby or 12 people, leave us in the lobby.
Oh, but that's a Demi's fault thing. Like we proved that when we got like all attack the day she wasn't there, and yeah, so she
'Cause
just
I
brings
wish
the
for
ones.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you let your thoughts know to the universe, and it tells you to go
Yeah.
for it. Yeah, no, but no, I that was another one that I do think. Yeah, it did suck because I don't mind playing defense, but when it's only defense on all the maps that I like, and it's just like I actually want to attack instead of just being
Yeah.
A
rolled.
lot
or-
more work.
Yeah, so
You only get to play half the game, and you have all the people already there.
yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
and then they used to
Exactly.
have it where people could just leave and
Yep.
they would backfill anyway. So I don't see
Right.
the point in
Well,
not
it's
just
like
leaving
people
it that
backfill
way.
when the game is ending, and it's like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
I sat in queue for 10 minutes.
Oh, those
got
are
in
the
the
worst.
game,
Yeah.
and then they shoot me back out. You're like, motherfucker. Like,
Yeah.
what was the purpose
It
here?
used to be the worst when people left before because it would be like I'd get into a game and it's like defeat, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, why
Yeah.
did you? Like, I've
Why'd
literally.
you send me here?
And then you get priority queue, but that doesn't even feel like it's that long. But to jump over a little bit, Daisy, you were saying the elaborating. Sorry, I missed that before. On the static comps, pros and cons.
Oh, yeah. Because I don't know. I feel like there were pros and cons to that too. And I didn't know if anyone else had different opinions, but it worked for us, and I know why they did it, because people were being toxic. Was a big reason. But before, we didn't have static comps. So you queued 6 and everyone could choose from every hero. But now the heroes are broken up into groupings. Because that wasn't always a thing with Overwatch, right? I miss having a little bit of flexibility. I feel like it took a lot away from the game. I know the reasons, or at least that was a reason why, like, people, weren't, were getting frustrated, and then there were 5 DPS in the game because everyone wanted to play DPS, and I don't know. I just feel like you should be able to, in competitive, if you're like 6 queuing, and that's the difference, I guess, because you can't really do it for some and not for others.
Yeah.
You can't change the rules based on if you have a 6 queue or not. But like, I miss, like, one of my favorite things was when Symmetra was in the healer tree, and before, before static comps, where you could elect, you know what, for right now, for this push, we're gonna go with 1 healer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna bump up the DPS. We're gonna, and you could do it even with static comp in the beginning, because Symmetra was under healer, even though she was,
Yeah.
Yeah.
she was under
Yeah.
support. She was under
Healer.
support. So you could go with 1 healer to do that, but they finally moved her into DPS, and I understand why they did it, but I thought it took a lot away, because that was the one exception where you could really make a last stand and make a push. You could switch out one of the healers for another support, Symmetra, and get some extra DPS. Like, I think it's sad because they have to cookie cutter everything because people can't be trusted
People
to
can't be
make those
trusted.
calls as a
Yeah.
group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's say, remember when Symmetra's ultimate used to either be the shield,
Shield generator?
the shield generator, or
Oh my
the
god, I loved it.
teleporter?
I loved hiding the shield generator.
Oh yeah, because you would just have that shield generator. I don't remember how much
Oh,
it
how
gave you,
many
gave you like a decent amount
It
of
was
shield.
75. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
75.
I remember so many times at the end of games, the other team going, "Where was it? Please just tell me." They
'Cause it
looked
never
like
went
Genji
away.
looked for it for like
I
the
remember-
60 seconds
yeah.
everywhere. Where did you hide it?
No, I do miss those two. It's like, yeah, it was just I think it was a mix between people can't be trusted, and again, I'm not trying to like be toxic towards the devs, but I just think their own like they kind of missed their own design or messed up their own design when it came to adding new heroes and like, okay, well, goats being the primate like one of the main examples of they added new
best.
heroes that it was a good one. I know everyone always say let's do it, but the problem with goats was it never worked for us because it actually takes coordination and people, doing their roles. People don't realize it's not just press W with 3 tanks, 3 healers. It's you actually have to know the rotations and like what you're doing. And
Which
that
support
always,
heals which tank.
exactly, and that always frustrated me because everyone's like, let's just go. Not everyone. It was Ray and Hunter like, let's go goats. I pick on them, but it literally was them. We like us as a team tried it, realized it didn't work. Like I think more supports worked with us more times than not than doing one DPS at times, 3 tank or 3 healers, 2 tanks, and then 1 healer or 1 DPS. But it's just goats just wasn't for us because no one wanted to actually like play their specific part. And it's practice or just knowing what you're doing. But
I feel like that also kind of iterates what Demi's saying too. Like, if you had the ability, like Daisy was also saying too, if you were 6 people in comp and you had the ability to switch roles, you can kind of admit humility. Like, if you're playing Pharah and they have a hit scan, that is amazing. You need to switch. And
Yep.
if you don't play any other
Yeah.
DPS other than something that can be countered by a hit scan, you're kind of fucked.
Yeah.
So someone on your team can then say, okay, well, I'm a great McCree, swap off to that, and whoever was playing DPS can switch to healer or tank or whatever.
Yeah, so I do think pre-roll queue probably was the better version of Overwatch. Again, my reasoning for wanting it was selfish. Like I just want people to not all pick DPS, but that kind of ruined
absolutely.
it. On a larger scale. I'm willing to admit that it's just like it wasn't a good implementation in the end. But yeah, just being able to switch or we have Demi who they have a Zarya who is just at 100% all the time because Demi can play Junkrat or Pharah, and both of these characters do nothing but charge the goddamn Zarya. And it's like pick something else. She's like, I don't know anything else, and there was always frustration with that. So yeah, it's just like that's exactly what it is. It's like, okay, well, we told her to pick something else, and she has to stick within that role. So it's partially on the game. Like I think it's like a 3-way kind of responsibility. Like partially on the devs for making it so you can't do that. Partially on Demi for not knowing anything else, but she's kind of been trying a little bit.
It's just so bad.
And then
It'll be fun.
at times us just like not being patient. If we want her to try these other roles, then we have to realize she doesn't play them. So if you don't give her time to try and you're just kind of yelling at her or just anybody, like for instance, it's like it's not conducive. It doesn't help anything. So but
I think I would really like an option where like just between 2 people, like not a majority thing, so that way like people don't bully you into like vote you out.
and that was the other that's just bring out bullying.
Don't like in Valorant we have like, oh, do you want to like forfeit it? Do you like need a majority vote kind of thing? Like don't do something like a bully kind of vote thing. Just like between 2 people. Like I select, okay, I know Mr. Black could like do hit scan, so I like whatever insert mechanic, and then like he accepts it, and then like we both switch and like whatever. So it's like it in that way like he could like request it or I could deny it, and like don't have it like maybe a cooldown like maybe twice a game or like whatever. So it's like I'm not being spammed by it, and like definitely twice because people like me will miss it the first time. So there's just like it's kind of an easy fix for the 2-2-2. So it's just like I don't know.
Raptor, you had Demi, were you done? I didn't.
Yeah, no, I'm done.
Okay. Raptor, you said you had a thought?
Yeah, we had talked about roll queue and comp and affecting your ratings and things, like what SR you would win if you queued for that role. I think one possible way of alleviating that would be to allow a swap, but only between 2 on a team. So you could switch once, basically, 2 roles, but those people don't get SR based on their performance. They would only get win or loss. So you would only want to switch if it's going to help you win a match, which helps everybody else on the team. But you're no longer going to get credit for what you attributed as your swapped role.
I'm okay
So
with that.
you get SR based on performance, but that performance will not be calculated in that one match.
Yes.
So you would still be positive. You wouldn't lose the match because of the inflexibility. You would still benefit, and everybody else on your team too. But you would make the sacrifice of losing the experience-based SR in the other role, other than what you roll queued for. But you'd still get positive because you ended up winning the match. I don't think anybody'd be upset if that's how it went.
No, I don't think anyone would be upset. For the most part, like that idea, I think, or even doing a flat amount for each specific, tier, like Grandmaster, Master, like, hey, if you do that, you get 5 or something, just so it does. But that's the thing, when it comes to GM, sometimes they only get 5 or 10 points for wins and losses, so that's why it's like, it'd have to be based on tier. But no, I like your idea, like, even if it was, as you kind of laid out, I wouldn't be upset, because it's like, instead of losing, like SR, I do just stay, it's a positive. I get a win if it matters. I get, the competitive points for my next golden weapon, but generally it's just, I'm not losing SR. I'm not having to fight to get that back. I chose to, for the better of the team, and who else, those 2 people, like, hey, yeah, let's switch, because this isn't working. All right, we don't lose points. You guys all get points. You're welcome. It's like, you're welcome, but I like that idea.
Could switch and lose still, obviously.
Exactly.
But
and then for that,
anybody on the team, it'd be rewarding.
Yeah, and if you lose still, I mean, I think, you'd still have to lose points. It wouldn't be like, oh, you don't lose just because then people would just switch. Like, hey, let's just swap, and then nobody loses points. So people are always going to find a way to be advantageous, take advantage of it. But like, just for that, Daisy, you said you had something else to add?
Yeah, that's a fun one. I like that. But another thing that I was thinking, I would like to see them at least try. Like, I want to see a patch where they try it really bad, because I think it would be really interesting to see how it goes, would be keeping role queue. But instead, the roles you can queue up for are tank, DPS, support, and 2 flex spots.
Oh.
And if you queue up for tank, you can only choose tanks. If you queue up for DPS, you can only choose DPS. Support, you can only choose support, but the 2 flex slots can choose from any role in the game. Okay. You have 1 and 1, and the classic comp, okay, the 2 flexes decide, I'm going to be the healer, I'm going to be the DPS. Or, we're at a last stand push, both of our flex slots go DPS for this push. Both flex slots go DPS. Both we're not doing enough healing. We have one person we think can carry the DPS with the tank. Like, maybe we go like a Zenyatta, or like 3 low healers, because all 3 low healers that are half, like a Zenyatta, I'm blanking on my healers, but ones that can do a little more damage, but less healing. A Brig, yeah. Like, you go a Brig, a Zenyatta, and a Lucio. You don't have a main healer, but you have 3 healers that are all doing other roles. Yeah. And 1 DPS and 1 tank. Like, I think there's a lot of flexibility there that people could be creative, and it would be fun, a new dynamic to the game. But it would also, like, make sure people aren't going crazy. You still always have a tank, a healer, and a DPS at least, and then you have those 2 to play around with.
Yeah, no, I think that'd be a good idea. Yeah, especially since we're going 5. Is that kind of why you said the 3 and then the 2 or whatever? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that would be a pretty good idea, considering then you would have those roles of the tank, the healer, and then, like you said, the DPS, and then people wouldn't as much have to worry about getting those, 5 tanks, or in this case 4 DPS and 1 healer. Yeah, I think either of those like ideas kind of posed were both pretty damn great, and I don't know if there's like some like limitation of the tech. To me, like, in my head, it doesn't seem that complicated. I don't know, again, on their side if there's limitations, so that's why I always like to just add that as a caveat, like, because since none of us specifically know how their system works, but I feel like as advanced as the shit that we do today is, it should be able to be done in some form, and then I just don't know how did you, sorry, because I was typing, did you specify how the SR would work for the flexes then, or would it just be...
I think that you could just have a flex queue. You could get SR for your flex
queue.
Why not?
Yeah.
And that gives people like versatility who are like, I'm a versatile person. I can play any role. That's an impressive, to see how your rank could go when you aren't, like, back to old school, basically.
Yeah.
This is my SR over everything,
Mm-hmm. No.
Or you could even have it split. Like if your flex positions were I'm gonna flex between tank and DPS and you win, you get half of that SR towards your DPS and half towards
Yeah.
your tank. If you lose half from both of those positions.
Yeah, especially because that way it's not like all towards one or you're just getting for
Yeah.
both. Yeah, no, that's
Say you
also
won and you were supposed to get like 30, you get 15 for DPS and 15 for tank.
Mm-hmm. No, I think that's another one. It would have to be like again, there's no really need to specify, but I think unfortunately gamers are gamers and would exploit systems, so you'd have to be in that role for a certain amount of time in the match, actually contributing. But aside from that, no, I that's another good one. Just splitting the SR because it's like it still encourages people because you have to have a tank, a healer, and a DPS before the match starts, so people would still be queued into those roles. But I think people queuing as tanks or queuing as a healer, I'm sorry DPS for picking on you, but they would still feel better because that other kind of role that no one plays as much is being selected. So it's not just them as a tank and then four other DPS, and we're talking Overwatch 2, and they're just like, somebody heal me, because all they would pick is Roadhog, and that's what some people are gonna do anyway. But you know what I mean? Then, so like, hypothetically, if they had kept Overwatch as is, I would say, like people said for years, fucking move Roadhog to the DPS role. Like, either take away some of his health or take away his damage mitigation. So unfortunately, he would go back to being an alt battery, but you'd have to play according to that role. But I mean, because he honestly, the way he plays for the most part, or the way he is played, he's always kind of been a DPS more than a tank.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, especially with how low the cooldowns for his hooks and stuff used to be. But no, it's like I love those ideas.
Four-dimensional hooks that crosses space and time.
Yeah, no, but see, I like all of those ideas are great. I love them all because it's like it's like thinking outside the box, or just a conditional, right? This, like 2-2-2. Like, you're trying to give people a way to deal with that threat, but you're trying to make it so also you're not having the problem that kind of encouraged roll Q, which was a little bit of goats and a little bit of just the I don't want to fault anyone for being more selfish, but it's just, if you're forcing other people to play roles because you don't want to, it sucks. You know what I mean? Like, if you queue and you're like, I only play this character, that's kind of what I feel brought about the role queue also, because it's always the same people, which is why I especially enjoyed playing sixes, because then we could switch among ourselves before roll queue. It was only when I started playing solo that I was like, this game needs roll queue. But when it was just like six of us all the time, it was just like, no, everyone would switch accordingly. Like, okay, you switch with me, I'll do tank, and stuff like that. And it was so much easier, and it did make it a lot more fun and a lot more easy to adapt to just all the shit that was coming in. Because like I said, there'd be times where we'd literally go 3 healers, the 2 tanks, and then the 1 DPS. Like, that was it. And it would work for us because it's like, I know it's a bunch of extra healing, but most of the time they had more damage, or it was just, they had like that, 3 DPS or something, and our healers were just getting stomped. So that extra healer just allowed it to be a little bit more versatile in what we were doing. So
our group
feel
takes
like
a lot of damage.
yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Because people can't fucking, myself included, but but no.
The
Leaves a
general
lot more
consensus is that like
Mhm.
we want a new game mode, like not just roll queue, not just open queue, but like something in the middle. And
Yeah.
instead
Well,
they gave us push.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So that's actually, I did forget about that. They got rid of 2CP, which honestly was one of their best decisions, because 2CP, we've all had both ends of it, where we've been on offense and they're just trickling in, and then nothing gets done. And then we've also been on the opposite, where we keep trickling in to hold the point,
Oh
and
my
we
gosh,
you end up winning with the respawns.
Just trickles. The fucking trickles. Like, stop peeking. Hunter's like, no, I got it. Or the time, Hunter, man, we could do it. We're not going to do a podcast about Hunter.
Don't do it.
Another thing that they fell flat on is like the events. Like, they did, when the game first came out, I don't think they did any events, but like the second year it came out, like had like the
can't remember
the Chinese New Year one, they had the Halloween one, they had the holiday one, the anniversary, and then that was it. And then they just put that shit on cruise control, and they were like, hey guys, 7th year of Junkerstein again, have fun doing the exact same thing, but here's a new skin. And they just didn't put any effort into it. And like now, like, excuse me, with Overwatch 2, I mean, like, we've only been talking about multiplayer, but like they did say that there was going to be a whole PvE aspect to it, and I
which
think
I don't care for.
like I love like the lore behind Overwatch. Like it's an amazing story, and I love it. But I felt like it's too little, too late. Like
6 years in, oh, we got
it's
some more
6
lore.
years
Yeah.
in, and here's the lore that you have to now pay for, and it's like,
Mhm.
well, you gave us all this shit for free. What's the point of it? It's like, where did like.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like coming out with something 6 years after the release of it. Like I've seen Ryan's story multiple times, and like his development with his past. I'm like, cool. I don't know what this story is gonna be, and like not only that, but the PVE's aspect of it. Like, what's gonna change? Like, is it gonna be busting your head against a wall for the exact same mission over and over again? What's gonna be, is it gonna be different? Like, with Destiny, where you have the different I mean, it's not gonna be Destiny level.
No.
But it's like, are you just gonna be doing the same? Hey, because I'm trying to think like the one the Omni Crisis one is where like on King's Row you literally just playing
Oh,
a payload mini game, but just against Omnics, and you're like, that's cool.
Yeah.
But after you do it 4 times, you're like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like I don't need to do this
This
17 more times.
Yeah, I do think they got a little, like, just a little, just not creative when it comes to the events. This is one part where I wish Eshel was here because then he could comment more. I know Daisy and Liz, I think, are the only two that do a bit of like just art, but he could comment a little bit of, I don't know, like maybe the difficulties of art design or just art, because they have millions, if not billions of dollars. I get that, so I'm not giving them an out as to why they didn't include more stuff, but I don't know from a creative standpoint if it was just that they couldn't think of anything outside of what they gave us, because I feel like their skins, like, they started getting less and less, and then most of them were legendary, and it's like, okay, cool, so I essentially have to have 3,000, or in this case like 15,000 if I actually want to get everything, because every last one of them were legendary, and it was like,
or loot boxes.
Yeah, or loot boxes, but the chances of that, since you can still technically get duplicates, which is stupid. Like, if I have managed to get every single thing from all the heroes, I've played enough where at that point, if I'm still playing the game, you should be giving me set items and loot boxes. You don't have to beat all of them the first time, but at that point, I shouldn't be getting so many repeats. Like, I've opened so many loot boxes, and the frustration that over me when like I get the same things over and over during an event. It's like, I have all of these. Like, you didn't give me one legendary skin this whole time, so now I have to go buy my favorite character's legendary skin. Yeah, so it's just like,
when their new skins were the same skins in a different color.
Yeah. I get it. You're a
when they do
business.
that.
You need to make money. But I have given you plenty of money over the years, too, because I used to buy loot boxes. So it's not like I'm just asking for everything. Obviously, I think there's like probably thousands between all the characters of items. So I've played your game for hundreds of hours at this point. If I'm still playing the game for hundreds of hours in addition to, throwing me a bone every once in a while or saying, here is a free unlock for one legendary skin during this event. It's like something like that would be, and then you still continue with the bullshit duplicates, I'd accept it a bit more. Like, just one every single event. Like, here, you get one token for a legendary skin unlock, and then the rest of them you have to earn by playing like they do now, or you have to, open loot boxes. Something where it doesn't feel punishing.
Well, they're getting rid of loot boxes anyway.
Well, I know. Well, yeah, because battle passes are Yeah, battle passes are better. Like, with
exactly. They're gonna, and I don't know if they've gone into depths on like what their battle pass would be, but if they wanted to be cunts, like they block all legendary skins behind the battle pass, because I'm pretty sure.
Well, I think.
Are they gonna have a free? Are they gonna have a free and paid?
Yeah, that's what I'm assuming, that they're gonna have. So like you get these basic things for the free to play, and if you buy the battle pass, you get these legendary things as well as the free things.
That's what I say. Yeah, that's what most.
That's
of them
usually
have.
how.
But the free ones are usually, I mean, to be honest, just let's go with not creative.
This gun, icon or whatever it is.
The nice way to put it is the uncreative ones. It's like you said, the recolors. So yeah, the free
phrase
and max it out.
Yeah,
the end is always good.
Yeah, but yeah, you have to play for that many.
Which honestly, like, if that's how
that's how most of them do it.
Yeah, and if that's how the future of cosmetics is gonna go, I'm just gonna give less of a shit about cosmetics. Like,
I've started
as long as they don't put like the pay to win behind the season pass, like, you know, if they put the new hero, like, you have to play to unlock the new hero, which I don't think they will. But hopefully they don't listen to this and
claim
be like,
they
hey,
never
that's a
done
good
that.
idea.
No, that was another claim in Overwatch, or at least I think it was a claim. Again, I don't have the information, but it was like you'll never have to pay for a hero, and that was one of the aspects I also liked when joining, because it's like, okay, so one team will never have the absolute fucking advantage because this new hero that came out was broken and only they have access to it. Because I think
That's why I can't do gotchas.
Yeah,
I like Valorant is.
Valorant's like that, but there's but again, Valorant is a game where you can win without like gun.
That's true.
But,
Yeah. And Valorant
League is
also,
one
like, the
way.
skins, like, on the guns, like, I don't give a shit about them.
Yeah,
Like, they look pretty, don't get me
At rate
wrong.
who spends
Yes.
X amount of money on knives.
It's like, don't get me wrong, pretty.
Yeah, so that's the part I did like that drew me to Overwatch is the we'll never make you pay for a hero. I was like, okay, so it's just skins, and I contributed to skins. I don't want to say how much, but a lot, just like a lot of people have.
What-
You know, some people with the dreidel play.
Hey,
all the time.
it was worth every penny. My $10 will be forever. I mean, I still have it on, so.
So no, like I said, Overwatch, it's just a game. Like I said, it is a game that I'm glad that came out because it did bring all of us together as a just a little Discord server / friend community. Because I know we're just more than a server, but no, like we're all friends. Some of you have visited each other. So that's just awesome. Demi is yeah. I know I've visited. Well, Zing's the only person I've met. I think IRL. Orion wasn't allowed to come over anywhere near me.
at the time.
Orion is one of our younger people who was part of the server. And yeah, let's just say he probably shouldn't have been on the internet with adults just talking in a server, giving away too many hints of where he lived by, and then I found out he was in the same state, and then one time same city, and I decided never to leave my house again for fear of running into
Restraining orders were constantly threatened.
Yeah.
I don't blame Orion. I was young when I started playing gaming too. Like, I started in 5th grade, give or take, Minecraft.
But it wasn't the gaming. It was just you have to be more careful nowadays. Luckily, we're not. Let's just go with disgusting human beings, and I don't think I know none of us would take advantage of any younger person. But yeah, it's just when you're that young, you have to be more careful about the information you put out there because a person who an unsavory person would use that and do less unfavorable things. So yeah, that's just that. Yeah, that was the joke because I was like, nope, you're gonna get me fucking locked up. I didn't do shit. Like I was always talking in whether it was on stream or recordings. Like I told Orion not to come near me, just for the record. So yeah, and then a couple times he got yelled at because he was telling information by his parents. Like his parents were like, "Don't tell people online that." Like, yes, Orion, don't tell people online that. Anyway, but no, it's Overwatch. It was great. Like we've all branched into other games. We've tried other games that we probably wouldn't have. I mean, some we liked, some we didn't. Some we started over 18 times in 7 days. Yeah.
7 days to die. Such a scary game. So scary.
Has there been any updates for that?
Don't hate on the Beefalo.
Fucking yeah. What was it?
Don't Starve.
Don't Starve. Yeah, that one's another one. Don't Starve.
You guys remember Foxhole?
Foxhole.
I
Is
know.
that the one
You're the
Daisy
only one.
bought?
Yeah, I wanted to try it.
Miniskirt
It
money?
was a bad move.
Oh yeah, that was the miniskirt money purchase. Yeah,
It was miniskirt money.
Yes.
Daisy, when we were playing PUBG, she so essentially you could sell some of your cosmetics, and she got the miniskirt, which was one of the sought after items.
Yeah.
She sold it and then was just fucking throwing out games to people like, oh, you know what? I got some miniskirt money burning a hole in my pocket. I'm gonna buy you this game, We're like, so it was a funny time.
Yes.
I used the miniskirt for a week to be like, yeah, miniskirt, and then I was like, I'm selling this shit. That's money.
Well, yeah, because you saw how much it was worth.
For in the market? Yeah.
It's like $100 and something, I think.
Oh yeah.
It was fun.
Yeah.
Was this real money?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
That's why Ray's been
miniskirt?
bragging about how much money he spent too.
And I'm glad I did because now if you play, there's a million miniskirts in the game. But at the time, it was the only miniskirt. It was like, oh yeah, people would go and try and kill you if you had a miniskirt on because they wanted to take your miniskirt off of you.
Yeah, I remember that.
Out of context, this is a great conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, it was literally just a cosmetic for the game your characters put on, but it was just dumb that everyone wanted it and she got it. And yeah, she saw how much it was worth and she's like, yeah, I can wear pants. That's fine. Like,
No, I
It was like the one. It was like the
wear
one.
no pants for a while.
Yeah.
Because you didn't have to wear pants.
yeah.
There
I
was
never wore
something
shoes. No, I wore
similar.
pants. I didn't wear shoes.
77?
There was something similar in Apex that I made Raptor quit, where it was like that.
It was the heirlooms that you get for characters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the heirlooms from
Which
the
I
loot
still
boxes.
don't have, by the way.
Like me and Raptor played for hundreds of hours. B7's played maybe 30 or something, and he got it. And yeah, we're just like, we've opened how many goddamn of these boxes? No, fuck you, game. Yeah, Raptor. I think didn't you leave like for the chat for a bit?
I did.
Full on left.
Yeah. Yeah, because it was like, yeah, we open these every goddamn day. That's when we were playing, like, yeah, like for 6 hours on the weekends and stuff a day. Yeah, B7 just plays a couple games and gets it.
No, I wasn't even that. I logged in and got like had a free one. Open it up, and I was like, "Hey guys, what is this?" And because I didn't know what it was, and it was an heirloom.
I'm hovering over the ban button, but
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna be fair.
I appreciate that.
I'm gonna be
It's
fair.
the thought
Yeah.
that counts.
But yeah, like I said, it's all been fun. Like, I don't. Besides all the changes I'd make to Overwatch, I wouldn't, change the experience overall. Would I like to? Like, maybe I know Raptor might not, but maybe all of us play again before it goes to 5v5 as like a
Download
weekend
it.
or something. See how many people we can get actually do in-house this time, and remember to tell Daisy so we don't get in trouble. I mean, this isn't League, but
Oh my gosh, I will never not be salty about
Yeah.
that.
yeah. So
Don't tell you what happened. I don't remember that.
it
We're
was
not going to talk about this.
okay. We're
Oh,
not
I
talking
mean, we
about-
okay.
can,
Sorry, Daisy,
but I'm
sorry,
gonna get
Daisy.
upset.
No. Moving on.
Okay, so
But
no,
I
not-
do want to go off like with the like playing with everyone. Like we used to like get 12 people online and like have like wars against each other. Or
Was
like
that-
we went into like a custom
We
game.
do scrims.
We only did that like twice, and that's the sad part because that
Yeah.
was
Was it
actually
really twice? I feel like it was more.
Yeah, it was.
yeah, it was only like twice, and it was because the team captains unbalanced the goddamn teams, and so it did not end well. Like I literally like, hey, you two, because you guys are what was it? It was it Hunter and Ray or was it? Oh,
I
was
think-
that?
Hunter and Orion,
It's
probably.
Orion
Yeah,
at the
and then they
time.
just picked the worst goddamn people like to fill the roles. It wasn't the worst people on the teams. It's just like they didn't pick everyone for a role, so they had a lot of repeats. Or one team had all of like the actual flex, or supports or something. I think I had it somewhere. What's that?
Wasn't Fortress and his group in that too?
Was that
Yeah.
what it was? Yeah.
That's what I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they never agreed to play with us ever again.
Yeah. I know there was a point where it pissed me off because I grabbed and then everyone decided to press Q at the same time. So there was a Mora Coalescence, there was a Hog Alt, and then there was some other thing that went into it. And I'm just like, guys, that wasn't fucking necessary. We essentially blew like 3 or 4 alts on, and it was like specifically because I just have that specific clip and it's Eichenwald, and I'm just like,
They're just making sure your graph had value.
yeah, a little bit too much. Yeah, a little bit too much. But no, it's like I said, it's like I'll put something out there. Oh, it's all good. I'll put something out there eventually. Maybe if people want to do that, we'll choose like a weekend sometime in August or September because I know the release isn't until October. Try to get together, 12. If not, we'll do 6 stacks. If we want to do comp, then we'll just kick Demi out of the group during the comp instances. But we will then probably have to do like not half and half, but just make sure she gets some games in because she'll probably still play Overwatch too. So I don't feel as bad if she doesn't play. But no, like we'll just see who wants to do that because it's not really an obligation type thing. It's hey, who wants to play? Some of us still play Raptor. If you have any interest, that'd be cool. None.
You really know.
You have to give me a week's notice for me to install anyway, so I don't know.
Oh yeah, that's fine. Okay, here's your notice.
Here's your notice.
Oh, good. What day, what time, how long?
October. No.
Jeez.
Okay, so nope, that's fine. Whoever wants to, if not, no big deal. But other than that, I don't really think like, and outside of me rambling on about DPS for the next 3 hours, just not, I don't know. I will kind of throw that in there because I have wanted to say it's just like they're like. So there are DPS, like I said, who can get value without having like the gold damage and stuff and gold this. But then that was always my frustration with the with the randos or randoms is that they felt that there was the Genji who felt if I didn't nano him, I was throwing, or there was, the certain characters is like, you're not pocking me, like we've talked about with, I played Mercy very little, but it's just one of those things where the entitlement, I'm like, as Ana, I liked healing tanks more because I felt I got more value out of, just being able to charge my ult so much faster. Whereas the Genji, here's something not no one, but a lot of people don't understand, personally I feel, is that yes, you need healing. I'm Ana, and you're trying to sit there and dodge them until you get healing. You are also dodging me. So you're not just dodging the other person who is trying to kill you. So that's the other thing. Like, you're not telling me where you're going. You're just jumping. Like, why didn't you heal me? You're so bad.
And you're like, why are you so jumpy?
Yeah. Fucking keep still. Of course, this is... I am picking on Genjis a bit, but even our characters who like bouncing back and forth, it's like, I can do it a lot of the times, but it's just like sometimes I can't, just off days, and it's just, you're dodging two people. It's not just one. So, I mean, thanks for thinking I can hit you and the other person can't, but that's not always the way it goes. It's just one of my frustrating things, because they're like, you can't hit shit. Neither can they. So why did you die? Or that person is slightly better than me. No.
And even if you were hitting at the same pace as like a McCree is doing more damage than you're healing.
Yeah, because
so even if you're just as good as the McCree, you're still gonna die.
Exactly, because and fucking Ray doesn't understand that. And he like damage over time, or sorry, McCree's shots are instant. You know what I mean? 70 damage or 140 of headshot. All heals, I think, except for Nate, are deal or heals over time. You know what I mean, or per second. So it doesn't just like you have heals. It's like literally slowly. So even if we're both hitting,
isn't Bab like
his
right
canisters might be. So he might be one of the newer ones, but everybody else is essentially like, so even Mercy, Ana, like Lucio, Zen,
Break shields will give you instant heals too.
Yeah, so, but other than that, like, for the most part, but her actual Inspire is still over time, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, the healers aren't instant, so everyone who's like, healers are too powerful. No, it's just that you can't hit your shots consistently.
Yeah.
That's not my fault. You know what I mean? Like, if you hit 2 headshots, they're gonna die. They're not gonna get healed, or 2 or 3 headshots. It doesn't matter how much healing I have. And then I will say, as far as designs, I know okay. We won't go too much longer, and we will do Avatar another time if that's okay with everyone, because we are going into 3 hours here, and I do have to go to the grocery store at least. I've just remembered.
Don't worry, I can do Avatar for like 5 hours.
So there you go.
Me too.
Yeah,
By that time, we can watch Korra.
Oh God. Okay. So before I continue, I will say, like, going forward, it feels like we can kind of do one topic for some of these. I'll probably, if you guys decide you want to do this again, do a main topic and then always have a backup topic. And going forward, that backup topic might be something of a little less volume for us to go into, just so that way we can have something. If it's only like a hour and a half, if we're good with an hour and a half, we'll stop there. But if we're like, hey, got a little bit of time, we'll just jump on to something else. But
if we get 5 likes, we'll have B7 Starlight Corner.
Yeah, he'll be the only one in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but fuck, what was I gonna talk about?
If we get 5 likes, you can have like a Merlin little cat cam.
No.
These are not authorized.
Yeah. I mean, technically 4 of us have cats, so
We have a cat session.
yes, we can have a Merlin corner. The good Merlin, not yours, Demi.
Both Merlins.
Maybe you could just be as efficient as Liz and have your cat in your background.
Yeah, look.
Yeah, I know.
Mine is asleep to the side.
Yeah, but that's not in the. Yeah, look at
That's not in the shot.
Look at her. She's just.
Look how
cute
cute
and
you
sleepy.
are.
I've been.
The
I
model
can move the
cat.
camera.
Yeah. No, but
The model cat.
I was gonna say, like, so for me, and maybe this will kind of be towards the closing topics. I guess I'll go for what is it? Kind of your favorite changes or additions, and then just your favorite heroes. We'll do a couple of those. I don't think those will take too long, considering what we've touched on. But for me, of course, as you can see, May is always Bay for me. I haven't played her nearly as much these days, but that's mainly because I do the healing and the tanks. But yeah, May has always got a place in my heart. I love Ana, like, play-wise, just because, like, I feel you can be so impactful with her two just abilities alone. Like, getting that anti on a group of people or getting, that sleep on me. Like I said, we've all essentially done it. The shattering Ryan or just the charging Ryan is just like, yeah, the amount of times it's just like, no, it's just, yeah. But with that said, the amount of times you've done that or the Nano Ryan and then said team decides I'm going to shoot him instead of letting him stay there or accidentally shooting him when they're diva. Not talking about anyone specific, but yeah, waking up sleeping targets because
And my Junkrat balls just go wherever
Demi,
they want to
why are
go.
you trying to piss me off?
I can't control it.
Yeah, no, just stuff like that is fun. That's why I think she's such a fun character. Like, she has so much impact if you have the team to follow up. Sometimes you don't, and that is where frustration lies, because, you'll sleep the target, or the nano-blading Genji, or, you'll just get a big anti, and it happens that, like, all of us have, like, just not been where we should be, like, myself numerous times, but it just feels when you're the person who performed the play, it's like everyone should be right here where I'm at right now because I did this thing. And then you think about the time you weren't there when another person did that. You're like, oh yeah, that's right. So no, just that's just like my frustrations where it lies with not even just our group, but just team play in general. It's I love playing with my teammates. It's just I get too frustrated when, it doesn't go exactly as I want it to. And yeah, just honest kit, when you do that, it feels so rewarding when you can capitalize. I feel like when you have just a simple shatter or a sleep, like a sleep and then they get shattered and then you essentially only used one ult because you then anti. So it feels so rewarding. Then typically, because I know this is what B7 was saying when it comes to Zarya a little bit, you essentially get half of his ult back because he swung into 5 people laying on the ground before they nerfed him, where it lasts for like nothing. But no, it's for me, she's always been a fun character. My favorite kind of iteration of the game was probably closer to World of Tanks. It was more so between Beyblade and World of Tanks, and I know everyone doesn't know exactly those, but it was essentially when Ana had speed boost on her nano. And but it works both ways, so they also get speed boost on their nanos. So it's like, you're trying to run away, and I think it used to work a lot better back then if you had as much as Raptor hates Lucio, like having a Lucio back then was more beneficial because then you could run away from said nano. Someone's friend who was here for a while, like they used to play Ana when she first came out, got to Grandmaster, and yeah, they had nano like on cooldown almost, and just seeing that's kind of what got me playing her, because I'm like, holy shit, that's so powerful. And I think Ana's received some of the hardest nerfs because her kit was so powerful at launch, like the fact that 30% speed boost on top of if your team had a Lucio, like the other team was dead, like almost always. The damage reduction, Nade actually used to do 100% healing, not 50%. Because it started, like right now, you only get 50% extra heals. When it first came out, it did 100% extra heals. And sometimes that's still stuck in my head. I'm like, what? Oh, that's right. Fuck. But that was also because, again, my opinion, the devs didn't know balance-wise. Because they changed that partially because the tanks were getting too much heal, namely Diva, when they then gave her 400 armor at the time. Like, she had 400 armor, 200 HP, and she was essentially unkillable if you had an Ana, because it was just like 100% heal. Yeah, so all right, B7. Appreciate. Do you have any closing thoughts, or you gotta go?
No, I gotta go. I don't really have many closing thoughts at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah, so
thanks for joining, man. Yep, I'll send this to you guys eventually. So sometime this century. See you, man.
That's it.
Later.
Yeah, but yeah, for me that was the main thing. Just her kit's so fun. Zen's kit's so fun. I won't go through all the heroes, but those are like some of my favorite ones, I guess. Zen I played for a bit solo, and yeah, just he is very impactful. Like when I was solo queuing for a while. But no, I guess that's kind of it for me. Like I said, those are kind of my favorite times for Ana. I do get frustrated that they nerfed her damage at one point because she was killing Pharah too much, essentially. Mm-hmm. Like, she was doing too much damage. Like, I'm sorry. I don't want to die, but yeah. No, she's just received a lot of balance changes that probably were just personally thought unnecessary because you were being too impactful as a healer. Go figure. Again, that's my bias showing, but yeah. But yeah. So I'll go from the bottom this time. Just Raptor, I guess, did you have any closing things or just kind of your favorite?
Sure.
Here?
Yeah, I'll talk to you between my dad and Owen.
You're good.
I'm basically same as you. Zenyatta, Ana, and I'd even add McCree into that here at the end where I was playing.
Mm-hmm.
They're high risk, high reward, impactful characters. They can cover a broad range of things, but each one of their abilities can completely change the tide of a fight.
Mm-hmm.
Their pick potential is high, or saving the team from an ability that's you can't compete with that kind of utility. You just can't.
Yeah.
And talked about speed boost. Fuck Lucy. But
Like, so I guess I will ask you to just briefly go into why you hate Lucio. I know why, but just kind of for.
no, he's useless. He has no benefit whatsoever. The shield doesn't last as long from drop the beat. He spends half his time trying to figure out his wall riding, but fumbles it. He's never where you need him to be a speed boost, and his heal's too slow. So
there you go. His hatred is Lucio doesn't do enough healing, and the Lucios we do get, because I don't think many of us play Lucio, don't really. They typically don't heal the team. I won't say all of them, but unfortunately we do get the what is it? The infamous Reddit Lucio who is trying to wall ride and make plays, and
the
usually
Boopio.
they die. Yeah,
Boopio.
90% of the time, I'd understand if they were like amazing at it, but 90% of the time they just die, or they use what is it for themselves, and I'm just sitting over there like, bro, I was right next to you. Why did you? They're like, oh, I was gonna die. So die, like you yourself are not gonna be able to do anything with drop the beat unless it's stalling a payload. Yeah, so that
he can't compete with any of Ana's utility.
Yeah,
because Zenyatta it's more useful than any Lucio drop the beat ever. So
yeah. So I won't go too much. I will just my counterpoint is, while I prefer to have a different healer, I do think that Lucio's speed boost is like, or more so, used to be invaluable on a more coordinated team because of the ability to shuffle your team around, but that is on a highly coordinated team. Like, if you're just switching to speed boost on occasion, I don't feel it's as impactful, but that's just kind of my 2 cents on Lucio. But yeah, but you are entitled to hate your
and I will hold and exercise that right. So.
Yeah. Okay.
Other than that, I don't really have any other opinions because I'm not playing the game currently.
Okay.
We'll see how 2 unfolds and if you guys get into it, but
okay.
At the moment, I have no intention of picking it back up.
It's fair. I will say, add to that, my most hated character is Farah. So, and yeah, and then Hammond, and then Doomfist. Those two,
Really?
they swap back and forth sometimes. It depends. If our team can't kill the Hammond, then he usually jumps up to number 1. But I won't go back into that. So Liz, I guess your closing kind of comments, thoughts,
Picking my most hated character is hard. Favorite also probably Ana, but I have been playing a lot of Brig recently, and I guess she's a newfound favorite of mine. For a DPS favorite, I'm gonna be basic bitch and say soldier, because I just think that there's so much utility in being able to sustain yourself with your own heals when you're cutting the gutters and no one else can get to you. It's like, well, I'm gonna go for this pick, but I get to be able to heal myself when I do it. So
yeah.
I think that's very useful for the team impact too. But least favorite, I'm gonna say probably Sombra, because
Oh God, yeah.
you don't see a lot of her in low ranks, and that's just because people don't know how to play her well enough. And when people don't play her well enough, it's easy to counter.
Mm-hmm.
But when people play her well, it's terrifying. Like
So
the amount
annoying.
the amount of use you can get out of her kit is insane. Like a good EMP will completely kill at least 2 team fights, especially if you've already wasted ults.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh
yeah.
yeah. When she first came out as a Zen, like I used to loathe her. Like, this bitch,
Yep.
she's fucking. And now I just like.
Tickle.
Yeah, exactly. I welcome those duels though. Sometimes nowadays, now that it's just essentially as soon as I hear someone in cloak, I'm spamming E just to get my Discord off. So even if she hacks me, that's all she's done. Like, and
Yeah,
then it's
I
just
think
a
it's going to
duel.
be less of an issue in Overwatch 2 because they've changed her kit so much.
Mm-hmm.
And this will probably make Raptor feel better, but like Lucio's speed boost was also really important for moving your slow tanks around, which you're only going to have 1 of, if that. And people are playing fewer of those slow tanks anyway, so
Yeah.
his speed boost is also kind of become a bit obsolete. So at least from what I'm seeing people play a lot of Ana Zenyatta combos or Ana Bap combos.
Yeah, it's just the old designs of the older heroes. Like, I won't. Sorry, not to hijack your spot. I'm just. interjecting here, they're just so different from everything else that they've come out with lately, opinion wise, and they're they're not leaving much room for that old style to be played with the newer one, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So I feel there's just gonna have to be changes down the road to the older heroes, or make it so they're somehow more viable.
They're kind of forcing new metas at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Raptor Tracer I think is slightly changed in the new one, but I think that's just a DPS buff thing. So but
Yeah, I don't think she's been massively changed. McCree has been changed. His he has like a sticky bomb now, kind of like Tracer,
Mhm.
but it doesn't actually attach to you. He can kind of like throw it instead of his stun. Like he used to have the flashbang, so he has that instead now.
Interesting.
yeah, they took away flashbang. They took away most CCs.
Yeah.
Ana has a CC, and then tanks have CCs. The other heroes don't really have one. I'm not sure. Like, yeah, tanks and Ana, I think, are the only ones that really have CCs right now. There might be some I'm missing, but that's kind of what comes to mind.
That's it. Even Brig doesn't have CC anymore.
Yeah, so.
That might be a good change then.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was a monster when she was released, and there's parts of me that loved it because it was essentially, bully the DPS. When I picked her, I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
fuck you.
I just like that it forces people to play as a team. Like,
Mhm.
if you want healing, you need to be near me. And
Yeah. Yep.
if you're not getting healing, it's because you're not close.
Yeah. Okay. I guess so. Because you used to be a Pharah main, I guess was Pharah your favorite at the time, or was she just someone you played because you had liked flying and being a complete
Pretty much
asshole?
that. I think, like, the more I say it, I don't play FPS games. So Pharah's also kind of like, not to say that she's easy, but you don't have to like aim as much as you would if you were playing a hit scan. You can kind of hit in the general area and still
Yeah.
do damage.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Daisy, what you got for us?
Oh, for my favorite, I think like it's just unanimous in our groups. Everyone loves Ana and Zen.
Yeah.
Like Ana, I could be happy playing her all day long. Zen, I get really excited when I play him because when I do him well, I feel really successful.
Yeah.
He can be so impactful. But it's kind of a high skill cap, and to be able to do the damage you need to do on him as well. Like everyone, he's big brain,
Mhm.
and he's high skill cap for the time. So when you play him well, you feel powerful.
Absolutely.
Ana is just so strong. She's amazingly strong for people with who hit her high skill cap, when you can, aim your shots, when you can have a Genji across the map that's dodging other bullets and you can hit every shot. Like being like the top of your game at Ana is so strong too. But she's also something that's strong for everyone, as long as, there's another healer that can focus on our squirrely DPS, like her healing on tanks is one of the strongest. Like her anti is game changing, team fight changing. So they're just in their own league, in my opinion, especially when it comes to supports.
Yeah.
But my favorite character, they will always stand second to and I think you guys think I'm gonna, obviously Diva's there. That's not who I'm going. That's not who I'm getting at.
I know who you're.
We know.
Yeah.
Yep. We know I love Diva, but there's been iterations of her, and like she's always a constant solid for me. But my favorite character is Milady. Can do no wrong. Changed so much throughout the whole game. How many major rehauls, and I've loved every single one of them in their own way. Symmetra.
Yeah.
There's not been a version of Symmetra, despite how crazy her rehauls are, that I didn't love playing.
Yeah.
I loved every version they ever let out, in spite, everything. And, I love her as a character. I love how she's a girl boss badass. Like, she's a mommy. Like, she can do no wrong in my eyes. I love Symmetra.
Yeah. She's been tuned a lot. Like
He has
just
been
as far as
overhauled.
complete, yeah,
Yep.
overhauls, yeah. I think she's one of the kind of highest ones as far as complete overhauls because she went from.
And I
what,
loved every one of them.
it started with the telly, then shield tilt
Yep.
and telly, and
Yep.
then she's got her wall now. But then she also had her primary
Her
fires
throat,
and stuff.
her projectile wall, I loved it. Oh,
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Oh yeah, when they took because when they took the telly off, they gave her the or before that, yeah, yeah. So
They changed her turrets too. You used to like
Yeah.
pick where you wanted to place them, and now you actually have to throw them.
yeah. Oh yeah, they
Yeah.
used to just appear when you
Like
did the,
they would show up on like
Yeah.
a wall or whatever. But now you have to like aim and shoot it where you want it to go.
and
You
they
could
can
throw it
be
across
shot
the
in the
map.
air. Yeah.
It can be shot
Or
in the air when-
Identity Crisis Sim.
I love it.
Yeah.
Oh. Yep, she's my ultimate. Characters I didn't like. I never really liked having a Hanzo on my team. I never really liked going against Hanzo. Like, yep, I never got behind Hanzo.
I
in his-
respected Widow's one shot more than Hanzo's, just because
Mm-hmm.
like hers took aim, whereas most of the time Hanzo was just flinging arrows down a hall. or
Yeah,
down
and you're
yeah.
like, oh look,
Oh my gosh.
I'm
he
dead.
finally hit me.
Yeah. And then he's not here, but B7 drops the shield to flame strike while there's a Hanzo, and you're like, dude, we're all behind you. Why would you do that every 6 seconds? We're just like, you're a fucking idiot. Like, but
I really
read
like
that
Sombra.
earlier.
She falls in my solid range.
awesome.
I love her. I loved her. She's
Well,
great.
to be fair, like I know when we used to do a lot, we played a Sombra and Winston a lot because I'd literally sit on the health packs. You would get your ult back when it gave you ult charge, and it's
Yeah.
like you'd have your ult within the first, I think, 30 seconds of the game. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, just having
And
a
just-
tank sit on the health pack, yeah,
A single hack.
yeah,
The single correct hack on the right person
yeah.
set off a team fight with your team going into it so advantageous. And that goes both ways, but you know what I mean? Like she was so good at turning the tide in stalemates.
Yep. No, you learn to
One point in
play-
time, couldn't you hack unlimited health packs too?
I think so.
I
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah, you could do whatever you
You
want.
could hack every health pack on the map, and the other
Yeah.
team's just like, but why?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it was fun times because yeah, like she said, it definitely forced teams to play differently. I know as a Zen, if I knew there was a Sombra and the game was like 30, 40 seconds in, I'm gonna play away from the team because I'm usually the target of the hack. Like before she does EMP or they'll try to burst you down. But yeah, so
And then my favorite addition, my favorite area of Overwatch over time was, of course, the Golden Age of Diva.
yeah. Oh yeah, the unkillable diva. Yeah, I wonder why. Fucking shit.
It
Like-
was amazing.
This- Of course, that's just a team thing. But when the other diva wouldn't die, it frustrated me so much at times. I'm just like, somebody focus her. She sleeps. She's anti. She runs away and then gets healed from theirs, and I'm just like,
What
she was
Ball
one.
is
Yeah. Okay.
like Ball.
uh,
He's just
yeah.
not killable.
What the hell is this? Are you? So is that all you had, Daisy, or do you have anything
Mm-hmm.
else? Okay. Demi. Yeah. So as you were saying, Ball. Kind of. I guess what are your closings on all everything?
So I guess I'll start off with what I like. I like obviously Farah and Junkrat. Farah, I haven't really been playing as often, because there's just so many like hit scans in the game, and I haven't really had time to like get back into her. And she is a very like high like skill thing. Like I'm a unique. She is. I don't care what you say, Mr. Black. I play her in a unique way where I'm on the floor 90% of the time. At least some of
A
that
million
reasoning.
pharaohs just threw up in their mouth.
At least some of that reasoning is because the flying mechanic is like hard. Like I just never understood it, and then also because I'm being like targeted, and so it's just like, oh, I got hide behind the tanks, or like it's easier for the healers to heal me. I don't know. It's just a gameplay that I've like gotten used to, and like and that's why like Junkrat was very easy for me to learn because it's literally fair. But one thing that I love about Junkrat is his traps. It's like you have to think, oh, where's everyone gonna walk and not look? And I'm like, where would I walk and not look? And that's where I get them. It's just you gotta be stupid and think stupid, and then you'll get
I
them.
don't like where this conversation is.
And then healer wise, I like two healers, Mercy and David Bowie, or Moira, or whatever her name is. And
Now all the Moiras everywhere just went.
Yeah.
yeah, she looks like David Bowie. I like David Bowie because it's more like because I don't really like Mercy's pistol. I think it's like really annoying to like have to scroll to like, and it's a completely different thing. It's I don't know, because like, oh, I have my pistol out and I try to go heal, but no, I just shoot 2 bullets and like don't realize. But with David Bowie, it's just like a little click. It's just easier. I don't know.
It's fine. Not everyone is a multitasker.
Yeah, it's okay. And David Bowie, I don't know. David Bowie is also kind of hard, but they're both fun. And I haven't played tanks in like centuries. So yeah, those 4 I definitely like the best. Um, I have started trying Ana. Like there was this one play we were playing Junkertown and we were all like on defense and literally everyone died. And I don't even know where I was. I was Ana and I like was on point. I don't even remember who I killed. But I slept them or something and I think I missed or I got them. I don't know.
Yes,
and then I like antied them and I won. And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." I had no idea what was going on, but it was cool. I felt powerful as Ana.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah.
They probably had
Ana's
no idea what was going on either.
No,
Yeah.
what the fuck is going on? She just missed the ante. I'm asleep. Like,
it was a good time. Heroes that I don't like, obviously Widow. Any like hit scan, definitely Widow. I don't really like Echo. Echo's just like a more difficult Pharah. And like there's so many buttons. I just and then Ball and Doomfist. Ball, I could throw so many like Junkrat balls or Pharah missiles at him, and it's just like he just never dies.
yeah.
And then like on the points where like he just goes in circles, like my head in real life is literally just going in circles, like trying to time it out. And I just
Yeah,
the only thing I could do is put a trap, but I think he like flies over the trap. I don't even know.
He gets stuck, but I'm glad for the cooldown
annoying.
of it before, like when he could do it
Yeah.
indefinitely. But yeah,
It was just annoying. But other than that, I don't really. Oh, Genji's kind of hard to kill. Other Pharahs are hard to kill. Pharah v Pharah, I will lose. Other than that, the game is the best game in the entire world.
yeah. And on that, I will add that is one of my favorite things is Zen is getting the Genji to blade or nano blade and then popping trance because it's even funnier when they essentially try to force you to do trance. Like they're trying to like get the trance out or whatever, and then you just end up killing them in that like in the meantime. Like, all right, go back to spawn, come back and try it again later. And yeah, so eventually they just have to, and then it's like, yeah, you essentially hit that fuck you button, and then yeah. So the big fuck you button for Genji is like I said, obviously I have a DPS problem with DPS, but
yeah,
Genji especially, like sleeping him as Ana when he's Nanoblade, like one of the best fucking feelings. And yeah, it's yeah.
Who did I even fight when I was on it? I think it was
I
a
don't know.
diva, right?
It
And she
was.
like remacked or something. I don't
Yeah,
know.
you have a clip of it somewhere, I think, but yeah.
Somewhere, yeah.
Yeah, no. But no,
It was amazing.
Just gonna add to that, yeah, that's just like shutting down a Genji because they are the most annoying and have the most overbloated kit in the game, opinion wise. Like, holy shit. But yeah.
Not biased at all.
Not at all. Not at all. His cooldowns come back when he gets a kill. If they just refresh, or one of them. That's just good game design. No, but I think that's it. Like I said, Overwatch was a lot to talk about. 3 hours, so yeah, we did not have to go over the other topic. Oh, you just don't know the passage of time. This is usually the time Demi would be waking up, so yeah, she's not used to being up
Ahead
right
of
now.
game.
Yeah, so
It's so early. I
Yeah,
see
do it all the rest of
daylight.
your day.
yeah.
Honestly, probably go back to sleep. So, or eat breakfast. I haven't eaten. I mean, besides the Skittles.
To be, yeah. No, you know what? No. No, this is fun. I'm not
I'm
gonna let you.
on
I'm not gonna
summer.
let you make me angry. No, this is fun. Hopefully, like I said, the recording is fine because I literally tested it yesterday, looked at it today, and it worked. If it fucks up, I apologize, and if it does, someone else is gonna have to record in addition to next time. But I'll let you guys know.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think there's much editing for me to do on this one. Probably just the beginning and ends, and then just check how loud everyone was. Other than that, it really shouldn't be too long. No, thank you guys for all doing this. Like I said, I thought it would be fun just have a more because we talk about stuff in Overwatch like in a more casual setting all the time, but it's always all over the place, which this one was. But it's just like, you know what I mean? Like it's just focused on topics here. So and there's not other stuff going on around or Merlin screaming, or making Demi scream or something. So no,
I have like one last thing I want to say about like Overwatch 2. I don't even know what it's called. It's like you move a payload and then like
push.
you die. Yeah, or something like that. And then like they can move it too.
What's it called?
Push.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't really like that game mode or map because it's like trying to like remember the beta. It's like, so we would get it to, let's say, like think of like a 0 and then it goes like 1 2 3 4 whatever, like that kind of scale. So it's like you get it to their 2 and then like you all die and then the enemy team gets it back to like the 0, but like by that time you come back and like you could kill them and like you could get it back to like the 1.
Oh yeah,
Or
so
like and then they come back and then like they die and then you can get it to like a 4. So it's like it's a really difficult game mode in that it's like kind of really hard. Like when you're dead, they could get so much leeway and it's really hard to get like in your sense out of the negatives and into the positives. So it's like I don't really think I like that, but I only played it a week.
yeah.
So it's like
I said, I'll probably give all of Overwatch 2 a shot and see how I like it. Maybe there's some improvements. Just like
I'm
I
not
said.
paying for anything.
Yeah, exactly. So for me, it's just I think it's only fair to give it a shot, but I just don't like the general direction. So that's probably where it's going to end up. That's fine. I'm glad so many people are interested. But yeah, like I said, this was fun.